start line, but the elites, they will just be focused on their last-minute preparations. As you say, Richard, there is very few more dramatic and stunning backdrops, and that finish that goes past the Herenseric just in front of us on that makeshift bridge, that is where these athletes are going to be dreaming of. But at the moment, they're up on the Montalib Bridge at the moment, where they'll be getting ready for that first wave. But Richard, we've got some absolutely stunning elites in this field, haven't we?
Yeah, and there's Jocelyn Chipkowski, one of the favourites in the women's race. She finished second in London earlier this year. Former New York City Marathon winner and London Marathon winner. There's the current Spanish national record holder, Tarico Navales, aiming to go faster even today. 2:05.48 is the Spanish record. 25,000 euros up for grabs for anyone beating the Spanish record in either the men's or women's race today.
So there's been a bit of talk in the week, Richard, about the potential for course records, but also those world best times for 2025. How are we looking so far in terms of the potential for those times?
Yeah, I mean, our course record holder from 2 years ago on the men's side, Cisse Lemmer, is back here. Possibly not in the kind of shape he was 2 years ago when he had that great win here and then followed that up with a win in Boston. In fact, Lemmer is racing for the first time this year since his since his race here in Valencia 12 months ago. Emmanuel Petros, the silver medalist from the World Championships in Tokyo.
That dramatic finish, wasn't it? Wow, yeah. It was down to the 10th to 100th of a second and coming out with the silver medal. Now, can he take the German record? There's so many chances for national records within this race. That is something that the race organisers, you know, really do focus on every year, and we will hopefully be able to be talking about those in a couple of hours. But yeah, is that German record under borrowed time?
It's not only Petros who is going for the German record. There's Samuel Fitwi, who has run 2 seconds faster. Fitwi is actually the current national record holder for Germany with 2:04.56. Petros 2 seconds behind him. So those two will be battling it out to be the first German and see if they can improve on Fitwi's national record. There is the course, the profile incredibly flat, and that's why, as you say, James, so many runners from around the world, 150 countries represented in the race today. And there's one of the favourites in the men's race, Tesfaye Deriba, won in Barcelona in March. I think you were commentating on that race.
I was,
you?
Richard. He was very impressive, and for someone that was a former World Championship finalist in the steeplechase, so to move distances and you know, do as well as he did, 2:04 low that day, he's definitely someone. He had a DNF at the World Championship, so he'll be looking to put that right today.
It is interesting, the World Championships 12 weeks ago in Tokyo, and quite a few of the athletes in both the men's and women's races today were in Tokyo. Some of them, like Perez, had a great race there. She's the reigning world champion from 12 weeks ago, and she comes here today for the second marathon of 2025. But a number of them, some who did really well. We've got the 5th placer from the women's race in Tokyo, Elisa Vainio, she's running here. But we've got one or two who are looking for redemption, having not raced well, a few dropouts in Tokyo. There's the course record for Valencia on the men's side, the 4th fastest course record, 2:01.48 by Cisse Lemmer from 2 years ago. And on the women's side, it's Amani Berisa, her win here 3 years ago when she beat Letasembet Gidai in surprising fashion. She ran 2:14.58. And remember, the fastest time in the world this year by her compatriot Howie Faisa in Chicago 6 weeks ago, 2:14.57. And that's one of the targets that the organisers have set here today, to run the fastest times in both the men's and women's races for 2025. Jocelyn Chipkowski, best time from 18 months ago when she finished 3rd behind Perez Chipchir and Tigist Asafa, 2:16.24. She's looking to improve on that. In fact, the women, they will be aiming to go faster than Amani Barisa's course record, 2:14.58.
And within that women's elite field, there's some great interest amongst the British athletes, the US athletes, and also a healthy amount of Australians here as well, Richard. It's almost national championships within this race, given the high quality of that field. And just scanning back down, there's a few debutantes in there as well. So just spotted Jenny Nesbitt Long there, that she's a Welsh athlete making her debut. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We've got the likes of Emma Bates, US, that how fast she can run. But just, when you look at those times and the evolution of the Spanish national record, they are always vying for it, fighting for it, because it's a sought after, prize to have your race to be the race where the national record is set.
Yeah, and there on the women's side, Maïta Mayouf has the national record. She's not competing today. 2:21.27 she ran here 2 years ago. She's actually going to be competing next weekend for Spain in the European Cross-Country Championships. So I think let's have a look at the course for today, setting out from the City of Arts and Sciences down to the port area and going past the famous sailing centre, Vélez et Vence, that staged the America's Cup here in 2008. They go along the Malvarosa beach and then head up through the University District onto one of the famous avenues, the Avenue Blasco Ibanez, where they'll do a first out and back section before they head up into the north part of town through the 10 kilometres, and then they come back. One of the landmarks they passed just before 15 kilometres is the home to Valencia FC. If you're a football fan, you'll know the Estadi de Mestalla. They go past there and then back onto the Blasco Ibanez Avenue for another short out and back section before coming back down to the beach. And they go through the halfway point before heading west towards the old part of the city. And they come onto this really beautiful stretch through the Jardin del Turia. It was where the river was situated before the river was moved out of town. At 28k they come past the very famous landmark, the Torres de Serrano, one of the old medieval 14th century fortifications of the city, before they go into the old part of the city past the city government, Ayuntamiento, and then they head out to the furthest point west at the biopark. They take a left there at 34 kilometres before making a final left turn. This is where they'll get the tailwind at 36 kilometres, which brings them back into the city centre, past the Plaza de Toros, the famous bull ring, and then they come past the famous station, Estacio del Nord, at 39 kilometres, and then past the Porta de la Mar. That's exactly 2 kilometres from the finish, and then they'll head down through what's known as Gulliver's Park before coming back into the arena here at the City of Arts and Sciences, back into the finish.
Fantastic overview there of the course, and there's some drones out on the course as well, so expecting some stunning backdrop shots. So again, wherever you're joining us from around the world, welcome to the 2025 Valencia Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso, Zurich. And there's Cisalema, the course record holder. He is, we played him up before, he's such a consistent performer, and if he's anywhere near his best, but he's going to be, need to be at that best today, given that field. The likes of John Correa, a winner of Chicago, and the current champion from Boston, 2:02.44. Deriba, who we've mentioned, the winner in Barcelona, and then just so many high-quality athletes. When you look down that field, the likes of Hillary Kipkovic, and some debutantes as well. The likes of Patrick Mussin. He's going to be someone, Richard, that we're likely to feature. When you look down, the likes of Cripper, and so many potential national records going down that list. And the elite women are just as strong, aren't they, Richard?
Yeah, the top three there are probably our favourites to occupy the podium places. Bariso won here 3 years ago. Chip Churchill, the reigning world champion. Jocelyn Chipkoska, a former winner of New York Marathon and London. Those are the big three names. but quite a few others behind them. This is the 10th to 20th lineup. Genevieve Gregson aiming to be one of the only Australians to represent her country in the Olympics 5 times, aiming for a spot on the Australian team in 3 years' time in LA. Emma Bates, will be watching her progress. It's the first time she's actually competing at the marathon outside of her own country, having already run 12 marathons. There's the champion from 3 years ago, Amani Bariso, being introduced alongside the 2 Kenyans, Chip Kosgei on the left and the reigning world champion, Perez Chipchirchir, looking very relaxed, very happy to be back here. Remember, she won here 5 years ago, ran a course record then, but since then her course record has been improved by over 2 minutes. Those are the 3 leading women lining up, and we'll be talking about just behind Bariso is Charlotte Purdue, running her first marathon in 2025. Bariso looking very happy to be back here.
Male athletes with bib number 10.
On Bariso's right in the red vest, Dino Suffer, who is a personal pacemaker for Amani Bariso. All the top 3 women have their own personal pacemakers here. And Sisai Lema, the #1 athlete by time, being introduced. Emmanuel Petros, silver medalist from Tokyo 12 weeks ago in the World Championship Marathon. John Correa, he was a late addition to the field, having dropped out of Chicago 8 weeks ago. Was hoping to repeat his win in Chicago, but dropped out there just short of 30k, and it'll be very interesting to see how he's recovered from that. Certainly looking to go well here, having won in Boston earlier this year. Amazingly, Sisa Lema has run 27 marathons over a very long career, which goes back 12 years. So plenty of experience there in both the men's elite race and the women's elite race. We are just a few seconds away from the start of the 2025 Trinidad Alfonso Valencia Marathon.
And there the gun fires to set off the first wave, including the elites of the Valencia Marathon Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2025. And the stunning backdrop of the City of Arts and Sciences here in the wonderful city of Valencia. The go-to place in the months of November or December as it falls this year, to chase out and to finish the year on a high, and those course records and world-leading times. But it's also going to be the huge standard of national club and masses as well. There was a real buzz to the city last night, but also as you fly into different locations, we flew into Alicante and they were talking about the marathon there, and everyone was in marathon shoes. And Passport Control even asked, saying, is this the normal destination of everyone? But it always is, and you can see so many different club vests. So again, wherever you're joining us from around the world, sit back, enjoy the action. We've got around about just over 2 hours to welcome home the first of our elite men, and that'll be followed by the elite women. But then for the next 2 hours after, I think it's 6 waves in total. Thousands of runners are going to be lining the streets and also supported on their way. Richard, it's a real sight to behold, isn't it? The elites that have been fired off, but the masses, and there's a real buzz, isn't there, about the potential for times. People travel now. We've seen it in the last few years. It's something now that running clubs, organisations, individuals, partners, this is what they do now. It's going and sorting out amazing venues, amazing places. And Valencia, as I said at the beginning of the intro, its impact on the running landscape has just been phenomenal over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, Valencia is not as big as the marathon majors, who, you know, they take over 50,000 runners or starters. I mean, Valencia this year took 36,000, the highest ever in its history. But as you say, it's the concentration of really strong runners. I think more than 5,000 runners went under 3 hours in this race last year, which is higher than Boston. And to get a place in Boston, you've got to run a good qualifying time. So more than Boston, more than Chicago. Chicago had just around 4,000 finishers under 3 hours, but here last year they had over 5,000, and I'm sure that the organisers are hoping they'll have an even higher number this year. And you mentioned, James, that the number of countries represented, obviously the biggest number coming from Spain, but over 5,000 runners from France, over 3,000 from the UK, 2,000 from Italy. So very, very popular in Europe. And as we mentioned, 150 countries represented here today. We're watching now the front of the men's race. There's the three pacemakers, and John Correa tucked in nicely behind the three pacemakers. It looks as though Sisai Lema has taken a very, very cautious start. I was in Ethiopia a couple of weeks ago and speaking with his coach, Gemechu Dedefa, and we were hearing that Sisai hadn't had a complete trouble-free build-up to this race, so I don't think the expectations are quite as high as they were a year ago when he came to this race as the defending champion, and Sisai has taken quite a cautious approach to this opening section of the race. John Correa, one of the favourites, he's tucked in behind the three pacemakers.
But that's always going to be a decision early on, isn't it, about which pacing group to go with. They would have obviously been having chats with their coaching team, their agents themselves over the last few days, and that can change. That lead group at the front are going around about 61 minutes through the halfway point. Benson Truno is a quality athlete himself, 2:08 marathon best from Nairobi this year, so that shows his strength. Got Francis Abong, who's wearing 3:86. Again, another high-quality performer. And then Mako Akto is I think the third of the pacers, I think the Tanzanian. So there's a real need for strong pacers, isn't there, Richard, given the fact that they need such a quality effort. And it's not just to the halfway. We're looking for these pacers to go to 25, even 30 kilometres. Well, we've seen it being a bit of a springboard for athletes towards their own marathon careers. So the likes of Hillary Kikovic, who we saw as a pacer here, and then really kicking on as we go back to, I think that's the third group, Richard.
This is a very big group, isn't it? I'm not sure, actually. I think this could be the second group. We've got a group on the road right at the front aiming for that 2:02. Remember the fastest time in the world this year, Sebastian Sarway in London, 2:02.16, and that's what they're aiming for. So these three pacers on the left of the screen, right at the front of the race, they are aiming to get that lead group through halfway in around 61:15. Just behind them, you can see that big group that we were watching earlier. That's the second group. And they're targeting around 2:04 finishing time, 2:04, 2:04.30. So they'll be aiming for 62:15 at halfway.
Yeah, you're right. That was Silas Sergat and Titus Kemboy with the pacers at the front of that group. And Ed Chezarek tucked right in that group, one of the most decorated NCAA runners, I think, ever. Just at such range from a 3:49 mile up to a 2:05 marathon, and yeah, winner of the Copenhagen half previously. But not maybe in quite the shape he has been in previous years, but a great racer. But just the quality of that second pack, the numbers going in that 2:04 group, and Petrus obviously with that eye on that, well, that German record that he just needs to improve by 3 seconds, and small margins is the thing of his career right now.
And Cripper also on his shoulder. Remember, Cripper's best time, 2:06.06, and the Italian national record was set here in Valencia 12 months ago by Johannes Cipanelli, 2:05.24, and that's why Cripper has gone off with this group, which we think is the second group on the road, which is aiming for that time around 2:04.30, which would be inside the German national record and certainly well inside that Italian record, 2:05.24. So we'll try and pick out, that's one of the Spanish athletes. Tarico Navales is also in this group. Stephen Kieser the Ugandan there in the orange, best time of 2:04.48. He dropped out of the World Championship Marathon in Tokyo 12 weeks ago, but he's got a best time 2:04.48 from Hamburg 3 years ago. Now, back on the front of the women's race, what is interesting is that the three leading women there, Amano Barisa and Perez Chipchirchir and Jocelyn Chipkosgei, they each have their own pacemaker. So in the red vest, Dino Suffer, he is the personal pacemaker for Amano Barisa, and both Perez Chipchirchir and Jocelyn Chipkosgei, they each have their own pacemakers. So the top three women with their own pacemakers, but they'll probably all stay together for that first half of the race.
Yeah, maybe changes the dynamics slightly. In the men's, obviously, we're going to see how long the pacers can keep going for, but in the women's, these pacers can go pretty much the whole distance. So definitely takes away some of the guessing, and obviously they would be training with them. Richard, how much of an advantage is that, knowing your pacers and obviously even training with them day in, day out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the point, that many of these top women will be training with male runners, and some of those male runners are here today. So I think it is a big advantage, just knowing it just feels like routine. You know, a few weeks ago they'd have been doing their last long run together, and here they are back racing together. So I think it's just the familiarity, as well as obviously the assistance that they get from having their own pacemaker with them.
And I think that's a great aerial shot, just showing the different packs and the strength in each of those three main groups that we've got established now, with the paces that were outlined in the elite briefing for these athletes. And I said they do have to make a decision about which group they go with, because, you know, it might not sound a lot, 30 seconds maybe to a minute through a halfway split, but that could be the difference, isn't it, Richard, between holding the splits and even be able to run a quicker second half. And, you know, there's obviously things on offer today in terms of those European Marathon Championships in Birmingham in the summer. That qualifying for men, 2:09.30, for women, 2:27. So for our European athletes that don't have those qualifying times now, but also to make sure when you look at something like the German team, it's so strong. And it's going to be interesting to see which athletes do take up their opportunity to race in the UK in August.
So just 5 athletes have chosen to go with this very, very fast pace at the front of the men's race. We've got our 3 pacemakers there, and behind them we have got John Career, second fastest runner in the field behind Sisai Lema, but with a very good record from the past 2 years.
So a question to you, Richard, again. Obviously, John dropped out of Chicago, going there as defending champion, had such a great race 12 months earlier. Dropping out, how hard is it to do a marathon block, not get your reward? Obviously didn't go past 30 kilometers to really do himself damage, but how hard is that to come back and do another semi-marathon block?
Yeah, I think it is hard to recover. I mean, as we mentioned, Chicago was just 8 weeks ago, and I suppose the only thing about Career's run in Chicago was that he dropped out before the 30k point, so physically he wouldn't have been quite as beaten up or tired as had he done the full distance and then was trying to come back from that. But I think the point you're making, James, is that mentally it's quite tough, because he would have built himself up for a really big performance in Chicago, would have been disappointed not to have been able to defend his title there when Kiplimo had that sensational run, the second fastest time of the world this year, when he set the new Ugandan record in Chicago. So will be interesting to see how Career goes, but he is definitely set out at that very fast pace. Sisai Lema has made up some ground, and we'll just try and identify the other Kenyan athlete right on the left of the screen in the white vest, Hillary Kipkoech. We've seen him here pacemaking, haven't we? 2 years ago, did a great job pacemaking when Lema went on to win. Last year, he ran the full distance, finished 8th in 2:045, and definitely looking to go faster. And Kipkoech, part of a very strong ASICS group here, and we'll see if we can spot the debutant Patrick Mosin, who is also in Hillary Kipkoech's training group. But James, as you mentioned, those drone shots giving us a really good idea now of well, we say the masses. I think this is still the first wave of runners heading down towards that port area.
Well, over the last few years, when I've been talking to people, and obviously people have been watching the comps from this race each year, I think seeing the consistent weather, seeing the beach at this time of year, I mean, it tends to be when you leave in the UK that it's wet, windy and raining and almost 0 degrees, and then you come here and it's stunning weather this time of year. So and it's a nice way to see out what is a busy calendar now in the marathon program, you know, in terms of the amount of big city marathons, and as you said, you know, Valencia in comparison to some of the major city marathons is punching above its weight, and it has done, but the numbers seem to be increasing now in the masses, and it's just been a fantastic thing. Over the last 15 years, we spoke, you know, to various people over the last few days in our time here that, you know, they're just so proud of this event, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has changed here in this race over the last 15 years. This race used to take place in February, but now it's become an annual fixture in December, right at the end of the year. We've already had 7 of the marathon majors that have happened, the last one being in New York just over a month ago, and Valencia positioned always in December, usually the first weekend in December, and a lot of anticipation over the last few weeks for this race. And I'm sure there are a lot of people watching around the world to see whether the fastest time in the marathon will be set here today. But yeah, we've mentioned about the history. Really started when Cada Valeu became the president of AIMS in 2010, and then the local businessman here, Juan Roig, started to get involved with his Trinity Alfonso Foundation in 2014. He's the man who owns the chain of supermarket stores, the Mercadona chain, and he's put a lot of money into this race. In fact, he has offered €1 million for anyone breaking the world record here today, as he did 2 years ago after Lemmer's win, and that's one of the reasons why Valencia has become known as the place to run fast times, because of the interest from the organisers to run fast times. There's the South African national record holder, Glenrose Zaba. She ran her best time and that national record in Cape Town just over a year ago. That was her debut, and she's back for her second marathon today, having had a very successful road campaign throughout the year.
But it's not just the marathon, the half marathon back in October. It's almost a stepping stone to the marathon for many. Saw a European record by Andres Olga, fresh from his medal at the World Championships, and 58.41 for those new European figures. And then some will be back in January over the 10K distance. So there's the first 5K spent of our elite men, and it's 14.37, so 9 seconds shy of course record pace, but still quick running, and it's about the consistency now of splits.
And one of the runners in that group in the purple Adidas vest, that's Gemetru Dida, so he is one of the debutants today. He trains alongside Sisai Lemmer, coached by Dedefoe.
He's got a 58-minute half marathon PB, and we've seen people step up with such quality half marathons, but it doesn't always translate, does it? You know, there's a lot of training and racing differences between that half and the full marathon distance, Richard, aren't there?
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see, but I suppose the advantage that Gemetru Dida has is that his training group includes Tamrat Tola, Sisai Lemmer, Lemmy Bahanu, many top-class experienced marathon runners. So I'm sure Dida will have learned a lot from them. And his coach Gemetru Dedefoe was telling me a couple of weeks ago he's trained very well, and Gemetru, I know, has got high hopes for Gemetru Dida running his first marathon here. This is the second group.
Oh, did you see that, Richard? It's going to be probably something that is going to be hard for these elites, given the sheer numbers. We've got almost 400 elites, so you can do the maths on the amount of bottles per tables that they've got to navigate and try and make out. And you saw one of the athletes go back. I think it was one of the pacers, actually, Richard. It looked like one of the pacers went back for their own drinks, because even the pacers, they get the 25, 30K, and there it was. I think it was 390. Just trying to think which of the pacers that is, but trying to get back onto the field. But yeah, it's going to be a factor today. And again, how important is it to get those fuels on board early on, given that the temperature is potentially going to rise today in Valencia?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important, and there's been so much more talk in recent years about the importance of nutrition. A lot of the runners, I mean, obviously going back 20, 30, 40 years, drinks were important, but I think it's just become even more important, and runners do think a lot more, practice a lot more about their drinks and their gels, and it's one of the reasons why performances have got even faster. But that second group, it is interesting. There's Stephen Kieser in the orange. It's a very, very big group, including those two Germans, the silver medalist from Tokyo, Emmanuel Petros. His coach, Renato Canova, flew in last night, and he's running alongside his compatriot, Samuel Fitwi. So the two Germans, who are just 2 seconds apart in terms of their personal best time. There they are on the right of the screen. They're chasing that time, 2:04.56, Fitwi's national record. And on the right, now we're seeing the leading women. Interestingly, it looks like it's the lesser-known Ethiopian Fikete Wereta. She has latched on to those three favourites, the two Kenyans, Chepchirchir and Chepkosgei, and Amana Bariso. Fikete Wereta, the younger Ethiopian, one of the few top women in the field who is under the age of 30. We were talking about that yesterday, weren't we, James? That so many of the top women competing today are experienced in their 30s. And there's another of the elite women, Izzy Bat-Doyle, chasing the Australian record set here in Valencia. Sinead Diver ran 2:21.34, sorry. Izzy Bat-Doyle's best time, and she's just under that national record.
Looks like her compatriot Jessica Zenson's just in front of her, so the two of them we look like maybe potentially working together. There's obviously a lot of pride in the Australian national record, but it would be about working together maybe in the early stage, and just see the sheer numbers of runners around them as well. They're definitely going to have company along the way of those very good standard national club runners that will be running very similar times. And again, this pan back to the second group.
Well, this is Tariko Navalis, who might be just dropping off a little bit. We did hear earlier that he'd been training in Ethiopia and had a very good training block, but there was some questions about the shape he was in the last few weeks, and we heard that he might just try to go with that second group, and it looks as though he's starting to fall back, because that second group of about a dozen athletes are still working very, very well together. This is back at the front of the race, and as we saw in Chicago 8 weeks ago, John Correa not afraid to get right up there behind the pacemakers. He does have this very, very aggressive style. I think it was to his undoing a couple of months ago in Chicago. I think he did overcook it. I'm sure he's well aware of that. At the moment he looks very comfortable, but we are just in the first quarter of the race. Sisai Lema, we know, is very aggressive, and Lema is the one who has gone with Correa, these two trying to follow the pace being set by their pacemakers. There's Gamechu Dida, the debutant, on the left in the purple vest. And on the right there, we see the leading Finnish athlete, Elisa Vainio. Now, she's got an amazing story.
Well, we were talking about it, weren't we, Richard, over dinner last night? To come fifth in the World Championships, you'd normally maybe put your feet up for a few weeks, but 3 weeks later, setting a national record, 2:23. I mean, powers of recovery. You know, the heat was obviously a factor, so 2:28 for that 5th place. And again, we must mention Julia Patamain's phenomenal bronze medal that day. A real surprise going in, ranked pretty much last of the elite field in Tokyo. The Uruguayan taking the bronze medal, but a fantastic 5th place. But coming back 3 weeks later, and I tell you what, someone that would love to make a big comeback today, Charlotte Perdue, 2:22.17. She's done so many marathon blocks that haven't quite gone to plan and got to the start line and it just hasn't panned out. But again, her and her team, Richard, will be looking to get back in that PB range or thereabouts.
Yeah, Nick Bideau, her coach, is out here because he's coaching a number of the top Australian athletes, including Izzy Bat-Doyle, who we were watching a few moments ago, Charlotte Perdue, hoping to improve on her best time set in Berlin 2 years ago. But it is John Career, just having a glance at his watch.
It's fantastic, that side-on view, just the effort, or seemingly lack of effort, and just how relaxed and rhythmical they are, almost in sync, those 3 paces at the front. And the paces have such an important job as, again, we pan back to Sako, who actually retired and decided enough was enough, and then wanted to come back. So hats off to him, the athlete wearing the hat today, to get back into marathon shape. The long career, successful career, and he's back on it again, Richard.
Yeah, his best time 2:05.29 when he finished 4th in the Tokyo Marathon 5 years ago. So again, a lot of experience, and hoping that Valencia can be a happy hunting ground for him and he can go even faster. So yeah, he'll be looking, see if he can improve the Japanese national record, which was set 4 years ago by Kengo Suzuki, 2:04.56. So Osaka will need to take just over half a minute off his best time, 2:05.29, if he's going to get the national record. So there are the 5 athletes who've gone off at the pace of the 3 pacemakers. Remember, the pacemakers aiming to go through halfway in just around 61 minutes. And Dida, the debutant, he's latched onto John Career. This is the front of the women's race. Perez Chipchirchir, very, very experienced. We talked about the experience of the top women. Bariso, she's run 14 marathons. Perez Chipchirchir's run 11, as has Jocelyn Chepkoskai. So very, very experienced. This is one of the top Spanish athletes, Meritxell Soler.
Yeah, I commentated quite a lot in the Run Czech series over the summer. So they were having some good battles, and she ran in some fairly warm conditions. Very consistent performer. 25th, I think, in the Paris Olympic Games. So 2:24.57 lifetime best. So a good championship runner. But, you know, has she got another few more minutes to chase that national record?
Yes, I think with the absence of Maïta Mayouf today, who's got the national record, 2:21.27, I think that it's going to be perhaps a little bit too much to ask of both Meritxell Soler and the other top Spanish athlete, Esther Navarrete.
And Nora Szabo was the other one that was always in these races, so they know each other very well from multiple half marathons in the summer. And Nora Szabo was very consistent, the Hungarian national record holder. So they've gone through in 17-16 through the first 5K split. See that they've got a pacer at the front of that group as well. So we're getting some great split screen shots from out on the course. The lead women on the left-hand side of the screen, world champion in there, Perez Chipchirchir. So to go from that world championship winning time, where times went out the window, it didn't matter about times that day, 2:24. But I think the fact that this lead group, they've been talking around that course record, that 2:14. Bariso knows she can run that, having done that previously here. But I know Joycelyn Chepkoskai would love to be in that. She once broke 4 world records in one race. I think it was back in 2017 in the half marathon, going through in 10K to 15, 20K and half marathon splits. So huge performer on her day as well. As we go back, and I'm looking out, I think maybe in that group as well, the second or third of the women's group, Kira D'Amato, I think might be in that group, the former American record holder.
So there's Miguel Indurain,
Yes.
one of the very well-known faces in Spanish sport, 5-time winner of the Tour de France. We often see him at the big city races here in Valencia and Sevilla. And on the left there, Esther Navarrete, I think we mentioned her a few moments ago, very similar best time to Meritxell Soler, 2:24:40. So she's both Navarrete and Soler are running in that same group with Indurain on the bike doing the pacemaking.
I couldn't think of someone better to be on the bike, so his bike handling skills, and yeah, an absolute legend in these parts as well.
Yeah, so Chepchirchir there on the left of the screen with her personal pacemaker just in front of her. Remember, Olympic champion in 2021 from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and a 4-time world champion, 3-time half marathon world champion, 2016, 2020 and 2023, and
Hey, wait. I need you to show me how to convert a Word doc to a PDF again.
Seriously? You know, it'd be faster if I used Scribe to show you how to do it. Just sent you a step-by-step guide.
Whoa! How'd you make this?
I just downloaded Scribe, clicked Start, went through the steps, and Scribe automatically generated a step-by-step guide with screenshots and written instructions.
Okay, I guess we...
Should start using Scribe for everything? Agree. Try Scribe for your step-by-step guides and work smarter, not later.
this year won another big title when she had that great battle with Tigis. Just out sprinted her in the final few meters of that race, and Gianni Di Madonna, her manager, was telling me earlier this week that her aim today is to go faster than she's ever run before. Her best time 2:16.16 from London 18 months ago, and Perez aiming to go under 2:15 for the first time. I have to say, Gianni was a little bit concerned about Perez coming into this race so soon after Tokyo. I mean, in some ways 12 weeks is quite a good gap, but that race in Tokyo did take a lot out of her in the heat of a Japanese summer.
So just on before that, Solange Jesus was on the screen, the athlete from Portugal, and some athletes have gone from Valencia the next week to the European Cross Country Championships, and that's a hard ask in just a week, but there will be athletes going over the cross country distance in the European Championships next weekend, but it is all about the marathon distance today. And I tell you what, the 10K split is coming up as 29:17. Yes, so again, consistent split, but they have lost 21 seconds on course record pace. It is it's still very early stages. 3 paces with, I think it's, yes, 5 athletes almost in formation behind them. It look like they've all successfully got their drinks bottles. I say that, commentators curse there. I think the leading elites have them absolutely okay. It was the pacers that had to navigate. I think that was Ako of Tanzania that just had to dodge back, and just need to be a little bit careful of that, because that can be off-putting. You can also, if there is a runner in their slipstream, we've seen it before, haven't we? Someone hesitate at a drink station, and then people go down and fall to the asphalt. Is not what you want at any point other than just past the finishing line of the marathon.
Yeah, I guess when Lemma ran that course record 2 years ago, he ran very fast, 2:01.48, but he went through the halfway in 60.48. So the fact that today they seem to be a little bit down, a little bit behind Cesar Lemma's pace from his course record, I don't think we need to be too concerned about that, because Lemma did not run a negative split that day.
Yeah, it was quick, wasn't it, Richard?
Yeah.
And they slightly paid for it. Trying to work out who's already stepping
I
off
think
there.
that could be Navales, Tariku Navales,
Yes.
the leading Spanish athlete.
Oh, that's tough, isn't it, Richard? 31 minutes on the race clock already, trying to stretch out a hamstring. Sifan Hassan's done that and bounced back, but I fear this could be maybe end of the road in terms of chasing fast times. Navales, I think he's a 2:05, obviously, national record holder, and he will not, I was going to say, will not want to not show his full potential today. And again, trying to work out whether that's his glute or his hamstring. It looks like he's got tape on there. He has got tape, Richard, so potentially coming in here with an issue already.
And just over the 10-kilometre distance, that's going to be a very difficult point for Tariku to decide whether he can continue. He's still going to give it a go, but obviously dropping off very dramatically from the group that he was with. So let's see if we can just identify right at the front of the race. We've got John Correa, who's been there right behind those 3 pacemakers. Navales, I think, has finally called it a day.
Yeah, he's got to accept that. That's tough, and dust himself off, get fit and healthy, and then come back in 2026. And there's so many big marathons again in the new year, whether that is Seville, whether that is Barcelona. If he is staying in Spain, he keeps trying to get back on and trying to get back involved. But given that he's limping, given the pain, but back to the split screen of the elite women on the right and elite men on the left. But it's now the elite women that have navigated their next drink station. And there's their 10K split, 3 seconds inside, 32 minutes exactly. So metronomic pacing by the pacers up front.
Well, what's interesting there, this is the front of the women's race, is that the 2 Kenyans, who I guess we'd have to say are the top 2 in this race, Perez Chepchirchir and Jocelyn Chepkosgei, they appear now to be clear of the leading Ethiopian, unless we can't actually see Amani Bariso, but Perez is right on the shoulder of her pacemaker, that's 3:42. And meanwhile, on the right of the screen there, in number 203, that's Jocelyn Chepkosgei. She has got her pacemaker, Julius. He's number 330. So they appear to be now the top 2 in the women's race, and they have actually got some way clear of that very, very big group of athletes that they were running with. And the women, they've already gone through 10K. This is actually one of the quieter parts of the course. They've gone through 10K. They're heading out into the northern district of Valencia, and then they'll do a loop back down past the Valencia FC stadium.
Well, that split for 10K gives them a projected time of 2 hours, 14 minutes and 57 seconds. So that would be 1 second inside the course record, Bariso's course record from a couple of years ago. So the pace has done a great job in the very early stages. And going to the second group in the men, they were 29.37. So they're operating at around 2:04.45 pace. So the different groups are navigating the early stages well. Bariso I can't see in this lead group, so it is the two Kenyans, Chepchirchir and Jep Kosgei, shoulder to shoulder, but I can't see Bariso in that lead group. So going back to the panning out shot, because there are so many, obviously, high-standing club athletes around them as well. And on the split, she was 16 seconds at 10K behind. So 32.16. So her second 5K split for Bariso did pick up. She ran 16 minutes exactly, but has given the best part of 16 seconds up to the leading duo. As we look back on the right-hand side, the elite men, it's still that strong group of 5. Sisalema there, nearest us on the screen. John Correa, who has been the aggressor from the very early stages. Sisalema, as you say, is coming up almost to hitting around 30 top high-class marathons. And he's been on so many podiums, he's been so competitive. He's so experienced in comparison to those around him that haven't done as many marathons. But last year, 12 months ago, Sebastian Sarway was an impressive winner here. Sisalema the year before in that course record. And then the late, great Kelvin Kipton in 2022. Oh, was he missed. The world record holder from that fabulous run in Chicago. Well, sorely missed in the world of running, him and his fantastic coach. I'm sure the athletes will always pay tribute to the trailblazing running that Kelvin Kipton laid out in front of them. And again, a great side-on shot. We're getting some lovely visuals from out on the course as the chasing group, or chasing athlete of this leading group. That's, I think we're in 19. Yes, it is. I think that's maybe just dropping off that second group. Kochi Mutaru. I think that's national record. I think that maybe even potentially the fourth group. Rwandan athlete there, who's just 4 seconds outside the national record pace at the moment. So I think that's just over 2:06 or 2:06.54 is the national record, Richard.
2:06.54, and I'm interested in that group because I think he might be just behind that group with Phil Sessamon and Alex Yee, because that third group, if that is the third group, they're targeting a time of around 63:15 at halfway. We'll see if we can pick up that third group at some point, but right at the front of the race, we can see how fast they're going. These 5 athletes: John Correa of Kenya, Sisai Lema of Ethiopia, Hilary Kipkoech of Kenya. He's in the white vest just behind John Correa. And then the 2 athletes at the back, the Kenyan in the pink vest is Justus Kangogo, and right at the back, the debutant, Demetru Dida.
So just getting some splits in that elite women's race further down the field. I think currently around just about top 10 or thereabouts. Emma Bates has gone through 10 kilometres in 34 minutes 10, identical splits, 17:05. And for the first 2 5K splits, and that's operating just inside 2:24 pace. So there or thereabouts her own PB pace. And as you said, Richard, interesting fact there, this is her first marathon outside of US soil. And she'll be looking to improve her own lifetime best. But Emily Sisson's national record from Chicago in 2022, 2:18. It's like it's not going to maybe be threatened today. As again, a split screen gives us the chasers on the right-hand side, the leading men on the left, and you can hear some great cheers. There's so many people out on the course. Again, that's something I've seen grow over the last few years, is the spectators. And again, it's a lot of people travelling out with their loved ones. Lots of friends and family make a real weekend of it here, Richard.
And this is Emile Keres, as we thought, leading that third group. Emil doing pacemaking duties today, hoping to go at least to 30k. Speaking with Andrew Henderson, who's out here coaching Phil Sessamon. Emil is hoping to help his training partner, Phil Sessamon, to a new PB today. There's one of the leading Algerian athletes, and he's well under the national record. National record is 2:09.54, and Charik.
Well, given their history of superb middle distance and also long distance running, you would think that national record is on borrowed time by someone, but Phil Sessamon, that 2:07 in Amsterdam. Again, it's going to be about powers of recovery. Himself, Emil, but also Alex Yee, the Olympic triathlon champion, have been linking in for multiple sessions, and it's going to be fascinating to see how Phil Sessamon does again off another big block of training. Emil Caress, we can't wait to see what he does in his next marathon, the Olympic fourth placer for Paris. Didn't have the year last year that he would have wanted. He was obviously trying to build on such a superb year previous to that. But he looks like he's back healthy, looks full of running today as a pacemaker. But going back to Alex Yee, what has the potential? He ran 2:11 in London. His watch has been telling him he can run 2:05, but how much do you believe the science of watches, Richard?
Well, what I do believe is that he's come into this race full of confidence. I think he's had a very, very good training block, and yes, I mean, obviously he's actually posted online that his watch is predicting him to go under 2:06, which would be absolutely phenomenal. We're just going back to the two Australians, Jess Stenson.
Well, they're right on that national pace, aren't they, to the absolute second through 10 kilometres.
33, yeah. Izzy Batdoyle's had a very, very good year already, run PBs at half marathon, and then over the summer, Bislett ran a PB for 10,000 metres. And today, hoping to run a PB, a third PB of the year over the marathon distance. And here are leading women, the two Kenyans, Chepchirchir and Chepkoskei. They have raced each other so many times. They know each other so well.
I was going to say they're good friends off the track on the road as well, and they've got such decorated careers. If you were going to call it right now, Richard, after 42 minutes of running, would you think it's going to go to the way of the world champion?
I just never write off Peres Chepchirchir. She is so tough. We saw that in Tokyo. I mean, when she came into the stadium with Tigist Assefa, and it was just going to be so close. And I think in the end, it was the one, Peres Chepchirchir, who really wanted it most and just got the better of Tigist Assefa, who had won in London. In fact, Assefa had taken Chepchirchir's London title this year, and also had taken the women's only course record from Chepchirchir when she won in London in April, and then Chepchirchir got the better of her in Tokyo in the World Championship race. But yeah, very hard to separate them, and physically they are running alongside each other today. There's the Finnish athlete, Elisa Vainio.
Vainio looks very good at the moment.
Yep.
And look at that, 33.39. So 16 seconds inside her national record pace in the early stages. As I said, just 3 weeks between that superb World Championship top 5 finish and her own national record, which was fairly solo. Salpeta next to her. Again, a very decorated Israeli athlete running in the NN colours. Someone that's been on the podium at so many of the majors, and a European champion over 10,000 metres on the track in Berlin. I think that was at 2018. So, again, a very consistent athlete for Vaino to be next to.
Yeah, and that's a very big group. I mean, they're targeting a time of around 2:22, 2:23, and not surprisingly, most of the other athletes in that group are men. We talked about the depth in this race right through down to 3 hours. But we're back at the front of the race. The leading men have gone through 15k. As we said, they were down on the course record pace set by Lemmer 2 years ago at 10K, and they've dropped further back, going through 15K in 43.50, 40 seconds behind that very, very fast pace that Lemma set here 2 years ago. But I think what's important is that they've still got their 2 pacemakers. So 2 of the 3 pacemakers are still in the race, but they are, interestingly, 5 or so meters back from the pacemakers, which will mean that the pacemakers won't be pushing it more than they have to at this point.
Yeah, interesting that we are down to just 2 paces before the halfway mark. 45 minutes of running. The projected time coming out at 2:03.16, so that halfway split somewhere in the 63.30 range. So not quite as fast as the organisers would have wanted, but, well, it does set it up for a rapid second half, potentially. As you can see, the chase group in the elite women, they're almost swamped, surrounded by such depth of men.
So that's another athlete who's chasing a national record, the athlete from Mauritius, Marie Perrier. She ran her best time here, 2:26.19, and we keep talking about national records, but the organisers themselves, they put a lot of premium on the number of national records that are set here in Valencia, and today they've actually penciled a possibility of 26 national records.
Wow.
The most ever national records that have been set here were 2 years ago in the lead up to the Paris Olympics, when 20 national records were set. Well, whether they can beat that record remains to be seen. But
it's hard keeping up with them, Richard, isn't it?
Yes,
how quickly and they
we're doing our best.
Phenomenally
Yeah.
get broken here in Valencia year on year. And again, we'll keep getting those live splits to give us an update. Those key athletes inside their own national record figures for some of them, and others chasing record figures that they would love to have as part of their CVs. But also, they would love to have part of their CVs winning the Valencia Marathon Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2025. The man to your right there has done it previously, the course record holder. And I think probably, given these first 15 kilometres, knows his course record is safe.
Yeah, it's good that the 5 of them are together, because obviously at some point over the next 10-15 kilometres the pacers will drop out, and then it'll be down to these 5 athletes and any who can try and catch them up to battle it out over the final part of the race. This is the second group that we were watching earlier. Very, very big group.
What is interesting, Richard, they're only 40 seconds behind. There's not a huge differential between the front group and this chase group. And I tell you what, safety in numbers potentially, because that is a very healthy chase group.
About 15 athletes, and they're 3 pacemakers right at the front doing a very, very good job. Remember, they've been asked to take that group through at around 62.15.
Mossin is in that group as well, so he's one we were looking out to making his debut and maybe deciding to play it safe rather than to go with that lead group. And just going down the list as well, Emil Caress leading that third group, and they're on 2:07.03 pace. They went through in 45.15, so almost metronomic splits from Emil Caress with that group. And I was looking out for Jack Rowe in that group as well, trying to bounce back from disappointment in London to hopefully today finish his first marathon. But they've been in that third group, 15:03, and then they were 15:03 and then 15:05 for the third 5-kilometre split. But this is the second group, and they're operating at 2 hours, 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So that would be a handful of national records in there for the likes of Crippa, for Italy, Pedros for Germany, but he's obviously got his compatriot in there as well. Crippa up there, the Norwegian half-marathon athlete with 60.46, and he looks good in the early stages as well. And is it Moen's national record for Norway that maybe could be potentially under threat?
Yeah, it's a very, very big group, isn't it, there with Crippa, the 2 Germans, Fitwi and Petros. And we're back now right at the front of the women's race, where the 2 leading women are surrounded, or have got plenty of male company. But each of these athletes with their own personal pacemaker. Chepchirchir on the heels of the yellow-vested athlete pacemaker 342, and
wow, if that
Chepkoskai.
is correct, they've just dropped a 15:30 5K split. If my maths are doing me right there, Richard, look at that. They've gone from being 3 seconds inside course record pace to 33 seconds. So that is some running. 47:30, 15 kilometers. 15:30 on the road is, well, fast running for just a 5K on its own. Is inside 5-minute miling. So, wow, they have really dropped the hammer down very early on, and well, they do look really good, but it's very early stages still.
Yeah, and of course they're trying to improve Amina Barisso's course record from 3 years ago, and she ran very fast 3 years ago. She went through halfway in 67:18, so that wasn't a negative split for her when she broke the course record here. So
projected time now, Richard, is coming out at 2:13, so a big drop. So it's going to be interesting to see their next 5K split, and also what they end up putting down as a halfway, because if they continue running 5-minute miling, then they could obliterate the course record.
Yeah, and we've talked about the goals of the race organisers today to set the fastest time for the marathon in 2025. That was, so far, that stands to the Ethiopian Howie Facer, ran that very impressive 2:14:57 in Chicago 8 weeks ago.
That is under threat, seriously under threat. The gap back to Barisso now has gone to 96 seconds. So, wow, that has really changed the dynamics. It is currently a 2-horse race in the elite women's race here at the 2025 Valencia Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso, Zurich. And we are heading at the moment 15 kilometers in to the fastest time by a woman in 2025.
Yeah, I guess the difference between these two athletes that we're watching, Chepkoskai and Chepchirchir, is that Perez Chepchirchir is coming off the back of that World Championship win just 12 weeks ago, whereas Chepkoskai's last marathon was in London the best part of 8 months ago. So she's coming in a little bit fresher. She did a tune-up race in Romanian Brasov in October, but that was just over 10 kilometers. So obviously Chepkoskai has been targeting this race for a little bit longer. I think Chepchirchir, the reigning world champion, probably decided at some point after her win in Tokyo that her 2025 season wasn't done, and has decided to come here for her second and final marathon of the year. But interestingly, in the men's race, Gemechu Dida, he is the debutant, and he's gone with the leaders. We've talked about the success of debutants in this race in previous years, most notably when Kiptum made that remarkable breakthrough 3 years ago to really announce himself when he ran 2:01:53 and beat the then reigning world champion Tamrat Tola. Well, today it's Gemechu Dida from Tamrat Tola's training group who is starting to impress, certainly over the first half of the race. That's the Uzbek athlete who is the reigning national record holder. He ran 2:07:02 here in Valencia, and he's trying to improve on that time. One of the possible national records under threat today. So I think the British athlete Wayne, is that Wayne Gebrselassie, James? I think we can see.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list to see which group he's in, and he's in the Emil Caress group. So he's in that 2:07 group, the likes of Brett Robinson in there, the Australian, who's always a superb performer. Carlos Mayo, who's in there as well. So Mayo's like a very consistent runner that, again, would love to get towards that Spanish record. Shakir's in there as well, the second of the Spanish athletes. And I think Jakob Simonsen, the Danish athlete, is always in that group as well. So there's a big group of that chase group, I think, operating around that, or that third group, the low 2:07 mark. try and get splits and updates of that. And I think they're still going at that 2:07 low pace. And again, real strength in numbers. I think Alex Yee's also in that group and projected at the moment 2:07, 0:6 as well.
Yeah, if you're a triathlete watching this race, I'm sure you'll be wanting to follow Alex Yee, an amazing athlete and obviously reigning Olympic triathlon champion. I think hoping to defend that Olympic triathlon title in LA in 3 years' time. But this year, he's been focusing on the marathon. Probably slightly disappointed with his debut marathon in London.
I think he wanted more. I think he found it tough, didn't he, Richard? And how much will he have learned from that first marathon?
You learn so much, don't you? I mean, I think he'll have learned a lot, both from his training and also specifically from that race. And will have come into this race, I think, probably with a lot more confidence, just having experienced the pain and the toughness of the marathon in London.
And on the screen, we've got some good examples. You've got Cecil Lemmer, the course record holder, who's run so many marathons. And Dida on the left-hand side of the screen making his debut. But as you said, he comes from a very established stable and coach of very good marathon runners. So that has to give athletes confidence when they come from groups that just routinely churn out fantastic marathon runners. So almost on a weekly, monthly kind of figure. But there's back to that chase group. And again, we've got some debutants in there. Mossin, you can see in the middle of that group, and Cripper, who's not a debutant, but very experienced athlete. Lovely mover, if you look at him on the right-hand side of the screen there. And our two pacers in this chase group still doing a great job of that under 2:05 pace.
Yeah, I think both of the debutants that we're talking up today, Patrick Mossin in that second group on the right of the screen, and then on the left of the screen, Gemetru Dida, they come from very well-established groups with some of the best coaching experience in the world. In Ethiopia, Gemedu Dedefer, who coaches Sisai Lemmer, Tamarat Tola, Lemi Bahanu, and now his latest charge at the marathon is Gemetru Dida. And on the Kenyan side, Patrick Mosin, a very strong group coached by Peter B, the husband of Beatrice Chebet. And in that group, they've got very, very strong athletes. The winner of the Amsterdam Marathon, Jeffrey Kipchumba, and the third-placed athlete from the Tokyo Marathon, Vincent Ngachit. So these athletes are surrounded by experience in their training groups, and today they're also surrounded by a lot of experience in the thick of competition. But Sisai Lemmer is the one now who's at the front of this group of five, and John Correa, for the first time today, has slipped to the back of that group. I don't know whether that signals anything. Actually doesn't look quite as comfortable as he did a few moments earlier.
He doesn't, whether it's just a slight kind of feel of the right hamstring, whether it was just a scratch. But hand back down the field, Richard.
I think that's one of the other Spanish athletes, best time of 2:11.11. There are quite a few good Spanish male athletes today. We've mentioned Carlos Mayo. There's also Daniel Mateo with the best time of 2:8.22, Ibrahim Chikir, and that's another of the athletes. George Blanco is also in the race. So there's about 5 or 6. There's Carlos Mayo, I think, just in that group with Emil Carres on the left of the screen. And there's Phil Sesseman, the first view of Phil Sesseman. Let's see if we can pick out Alex Yee.
There's Alex Yee in the black singlet in the middle of that group. Simonson just behind him, the Danish athlete. So they're in that group, tucked in. It's almost like a training run, Richard.
2:06. Well, I mean, it's a good point because they have all been training together. Emil, Phil and Alex. I know Alex, although he lives in Loughborough, he's been up training quite regularly with Phil Sesseman in Leeds under the watchful eye of Andy Henderson, and Emil has also been training with them in this particular block. Emil choosing not to do a marathon at the end of the year. I think he's going to be back here in January for the big 10K. One of the things we haven't yet mentioned about Valencia, the city of running, it is the only city in the world with 4 World Athletic Label races, and the 10K is one of those races. Today's marathon is another, and they also have, well, James, you mentioned it, the big half marathon here, which happened 6 weeks ago, as well as the 15K. So Valencia very deservedly owning the title City of Running, but it's not just because of its big races. I think it's just a runner-centred place right through from the masses up to the elite. We mentioned this great park, the Jardin del Turia, which is one of the most used running circuits in the whole of Spain. We enjoyed a run there yesterday, but I know a number of athlete managers have their satellite offices here. They choose to come here on training camps, and that's partly because of the climate all year round. So I think very deservedly owning the title City of Running. It always amuses me when you go onto the Valencia Marathon website that you actually see ciudadelrunning.com. So they're not ashamed to call themselves the world's City of Running.
And there are people out running all the time. You're right, the loop in the city centre, Turo Gardens, the Turo River, it flooded the city in 1957, and they decided to drain it, and it now creates a superb bit of running trail. And there's the athletics track down there as well. There's football pitches, but it's well lit. And even when we were out getting a few kilometres in late, there were runners that I think were maybe not necessarily getting ready for the marathon, but just getting ready maybe to be a spectator the next day. But given the climate and given, as you said, those superb label events that many athletes, well, they have them as stable diets in their race calendar. And we look out for those results eagerly for, as we said, chasing national records, whether it's the 10K, the half marathon, or the marathon distance. This is, well, so high on everyone's list. And again, a great aerial shot there. The temperature is rising just gradually here, but I tell you what, where we sit here by the hemispheric, the wind that was potentially projected in the week, Richard, doesn't look like it's anywhere near as bad. It looks like it's actually fairly gentle as a breeze out there. And the course was designed, wasn't it? So the last few kilometres, actually, you almost get a bit of a kick back on that as the splits come up on the screen there. Half marathon is 61:46, so as anticipated, about a minute off last year's time, so 1 minute and 11 seconds. So at the moment, giving us a projected time just outside 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Yes, I mean, they're going to have to come home very, very quickly to improve on the fastest time in the world. Sarwe's 2:02:16. They're going to have to come home in around 60:30, having gone through the first half in 61:46. But the good thing for them is that there's 5 athletes still there following the 2 pacemakers. So still possible, but they're going to have to run very, very fast. But they're great shots of those leading 5 athletes with the pacemakers as they go past probably I would guess that's the 3rd or 4th wave of runners that have started from the City of Arts and Sciences where we are. A great shot there as they head down this big avenue down towards the Jardin del Turia. They've gone through halfway and they're heading down now west, down to the old part of the town. Having done their first circuit in the eastern part, they go out west, go through the old part of the city to the westernmost part, out to the biopark, and then they'll loop back round, back to the old park, and then back into the City of Arts and Sciences over the next hour.
And yes, you said, Richard, a great shot of the masses on the right-hand side of the screen, the elites doubling back on the left-hand side. But just so many places to eat, to drink, to venture out. Wonderful city that has so much culture and history, but also is, as we sit here with the superb backdrop, has some real technology and developing areas as well.
So that's that second group that we've talked about with Emmanuel Petros and Samuel Fitri and Yamani Kripa. We've just seen them go through with the leading Japanese athlete Suguru Osaka We'll see if we can...
Their halfway splits come at 62.40, so they have dropped slightly off the pace that they wanted. Many of those athletes wanted inside 2 hours and 5, but again, when we had the last view of that group, it was still very healthy in numbers. We'll look for an update of the elite women through halfway as well, as they can't be too far off as this. They've gone through 20 kilometres, and look at that, another chunk of time's been taken off that course record time. So we're going through in 63.50. Oh, sorry, 63.06 against the 63.50 course record pace.
Yeah, and remember, Amani Bariso, she went through in 67.18, so those are the comparisons that we're getting, and they're now almost 45 seconds up on Bariso's pace from 3 years ago. So it's going to be very, very interesting. They're going to go through, I would guess they're going to go through halfway in around 66 and bits.
Yeah, it could be 66.30 there or thereabouts, which projected time would be the low 2:13s. So this is impressive running in the elite women's race. Paris Chipchachir and Joycelyn Chepkosgei are the leading pair that have now taken significant amounts of time away from the chasers behind. Given the standard of runners around them, there are some superb runners, and there is confirmation of that. 1 minute and 46 back to third, and Bariso, the course record holder, 2 minutes and 25 seconds down.
Well, the third place Ethiopian, Fikirto Wereta, having a good race. Her best time, 2:21.32, so...
Yeah, for Dubai, she's way inside that at the moment as well.
And her manager, Marianne van der Veen, she was telling me earlier in the week that she's targeting a time of around 2:17, 2:18, so I think she's on target for that. But remember, her best time, 2:21, so she's looking for a big improvement, but certainly going well as they approach half distance. And these are the two top female athletes, Chepkosgei on the right and Chepchirchir in the purple on the left.
It looks like D'Amato and Emma Bates are locked in a 2:24 low battle at the moment. So they're in a fairly healthy group. I think Lily Partridge is there as well, Natasha Wilson. And there's a big strong contingent. Schola's in there as well for the Spanish contingent. So they're 2:24 pace. So some of those athletes, the Europeans, will have an eye on that European athletics time of 2:27, and others laying down some fast times to finish this year.
British athlete Luke Caldwell, I think that must have been the fourth group on the road, if not the fifth group, because I think the fourth group might have been targeting around 2:08.
Yeah, I think he's in with the elite women there potentially. They're maybe joining that very last group.
So halfway for Chepchirchir and Chepkosgei, 66.34. Well, if they can maintain that pace, that's going to bring them home in just outside 2:13, which is incredibly fast running. Remember the course record from 3 years ago, 2:14.58, so they're well up on that. And the two of them not only will be fighting it out against each other, but they've still got each of their pacemakers there. Julius Brambok is in the white vest just in front of Jocelyn Chepkosgei, right on the left of the screen, and then in the yellowy green vest is Chepchirchir's own pacemaker. So they've got a good opportunity to run faster than they've ever done before. Both athletes have best times 2:16, both set in London. Perez ran 2:16.16 in 2024 when she won in London 18 months ago, and in that same race Chepkosgei ran her best time when she finished third, just behind Tigist Assefa in her PB 2:16.24, but on target today to run quite a lot faster. And this is the leading group.
Is this the first of her moves by Dina there that's almost gone on to the back of the pacemakers? This is his debut, so this is the point in a debut where sometimes you've got to kind of hold on to your emotions and take a step back and just think, okay, if I'm feeling good, I'm in the sight unknown now. So I wonder whether this is maybe over-enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, I mean, guess we remember back to 12 months ago when Sarway was here running his debut, and just think of how sensible, how clever he was at this point of the race when the race did break up at around that 25 to 30k point when Deresa Geleta really ran a very fast 5k, and then Sarway came from behind to win the race and to win very, very impressively. Gemetru Dida perhaps being a little bit aggressive for his first marathon. 4 very experienced marathon runners behind him. Kangogo running faster than he's ever run before. He's got a best time of 2:05.57. He's the second place athlete running alongside compatriot John Career.
Again, it just gives you some appreciation of the speed they're travelling at. And the fact that miling-wise, they're around about 4 minutes and 42 seconds per mile. So that's way inside 3 minutes per kilometre. The pacemakers at the front still doing a really good job. We had 3 early on, but down to 2. And they will definitely be looking to get to that 25 kilometres. That will give them probably most of their pay package as a pacer, and then also be written into their contract if they go another 5 kilometres, then they get X amount. So it's a real job and a real bit of skill being a pacemaker, and very sought after, just given the quality that these athletes are asking for. And I'm sure the athletes that are on the screen in front of us would rather the pacers went just a tad slower in the early stages, but went further, because, well, the damage can be done if they go too fast early on and then drop out too soon. So Dina there, confirmation of that that lifetime best over half marathon, 58 minutes and 39. And I've been so impressed with him in terms of just how he looks, but just how he's operating. But I'm sure his coaching staff know exactly the shape he's in. He's a wonderful mover, isn't he, Richard? The Ethiopians work so hard on their form and the amount of drills and technique work that they put into their training.
Yeah, Gemetru Dida, I'm proud to say, won the Great Ethiopian Run International 10K 4 years ago. So certainly been on my radar for quite a few years, but this is his first time at the marathon. This is the third group on the road. Emil Keres right at the front of this group. And Phil Sessamon in there, Alex Yee, there he is, number 65, right on the heels of Phil Sessamon. So a very strong group. Carlos Mayo just in front of Phil Sessamon. So looks as though it's all going to plan for this third group. We're expecting Emil to stay in the race at least until 30k. And one of the top Spanish athletes, Ibrahim Shakir, right at the back of that group. But Phil Sessamon, well, what a autumn he's had. Went to Amsterdam 7 weeks ago and improved his lifetime best for the marathon by 46 seconds. Went under 2:08 for the first time, ran 2:07.18. That was just 7 weeks ago, and this is a bit of an experiment for Phil and his coach Andy Henderson to attempt 2 big marathons in the space of 7 weeks. Alex Yee, personal best, as we mentioned, from his debut in London earlier this year. Well, Alex has had a good block of training, looking very, very relaxed at the moment.
And both of them have been very open about their training. That's the new age that we live in. You were saying last night on our run, Richard, that back in the day you didn't know what people were doing other than turning up to races and running hard. Now everything's documented, whether that's on different platforms, whether that's on social media, and athletes are, very honest about their training. And we've had a great insight into the likes of Alex Yee's build-up and his potential. But it's going to be fascinating to see how it does pan out in the second half of the race, as it will be now. The front end, the elite men, and there you can see the 25-kilometre split. It's 1 hour, 11 minutes and 52 seconds, so 1:25. Career now. Is this again a decisive moment in the race, Richard? Maybe he's opened up 10 metres on the chase group. Went for maybe a period where he didn't look quite as good as he did in early stages. But maybe he was just calling everyone's bluff. Look at him go now.
Yeah, it is interesting. The pacemakers have dropped out, or appear to have dropped out. They're certainly not on our screen anymore. So that's the assumption we're making. And I think John Career is now in the position he loves being in. He's had plenty of experience of this in big city races, particularly in Boston and Chicago in recent years. And Career opening up a few metres, only a few metres, but I think this is where he likes to be. And just having a glance back, but that is a good 10 metres at the moment.
Sorry, just confirmation of that 25-kilometre split, 73 minutes and 17 seconds was the course record pace. That was 71 minutes and 52 seconds, but it's not about course record pace today. I think John Career is just looking to bounce back from that slight Chicago disappointment. And he's such a great runner on his day, and right now it looks like he's back to the form that we've seen previously. Lifetime best of 2:02. And he's still got a chance of chasing that down with a strong second half. And look at that, the group behind now. The paces have gone. This is about racing head-to-head now.
Yeah, you mentioned his PB from Chicago 14 months ago when he ran that very fast time, 2:02.44. Just 8 weeks ago when he ran in Chicago, it was a very, very different race to today. They went through in a very fast, I think it was around 60-16 at halfway. And I think a lot of people said it was a bit too reckless, the pacing in that first half of the race. Today, it's been a lot more measured, and now explains why the athletes, if anything, can accelerate off that halfway time, 61.46. And it is Career who has opened up 20 or 30 metres. It's going to be interesting to see how the others respond. It is Gemechu Dida, the Ethiopian, who is leading the chase in that group of four. Gemechu Dida, Hillary Kipkoech, Justice Kangogo, and Cecil Emma just trying to hang on.
Well, Justice Kangogo hasn't really done too much. He's kind of been hiding a bit, Richard, isn't he? So again, in terms of someone keeping their cards close to their chest, he's literally just been sat in that group, almost just taking a ride from the athletes in front of him. But it is John Career who is, well, decided that he wants to make an honest race of this. The pace was slipping again. It's now more towards the 2:04 now than the 2:03. And maybe Cecil Emma is the athlete that is struggling to go with the three chasers.
So the athletes just through 25k, and this is the section that they run alongside the part of the town called El Rio, where the river Turia used to be before it was moved out of the city in the 1960s because of the big flood that happened in Valencia in 1957. You can see on the left of the screen is the park where thousands of runners run every day on the circuit, which goes through the Jardin del Turia. There's a close-up of Cecil Emma, and it looks as though he might be struggling a little bit. The pace has definitely picked up. This is Career at the front of the race. They've
such a difference, Richard, in cadence between Cecil Emma there and John Career on the screen in front of us right now.
Yeah, and you can see two things very noticeable now is that the crowds have picked up, but also the sun is a little bit stronger than it was an hour ago. And this is one of the things that the runners and organisers were a little bit concerned about. They said that the temperatures were a little bit on the high side if you're really talking about perfect marathon conditions. I think the temperature started when the race started an hour or so ago. It was about 14 degrees Celsius, that's around 60 Fahrenheit. And Lemma definitely starting to struggle. He's now 30 or 40 metres back from that main chasing group of three athletes.
Yeah, it's saying about 16 degrees now, Richard, and I think from the study they said anything about 9 degrees is probably optimal marathon conditions, so it is warming up, and it is going to warm up, I think, over the next couple of hours for the masses as well. So hydrating, getting refueled, but the elites in front of us, they know they've just got probably around about 44 or 43 minutes left of running, so they will finish before the temperature does rise. But in terms of temperature on the race circuit right now, it's risen in the form of John Correa. You can see people on bikes slightly struggling to keep up with his pace. As we go back to the elite women, you can see that split has dropped off just slightly in terms of they've lost a little bit of time, but they're still way inside. 39 seconds inside, Richard. 1:18.58 at 25 kilometres.
Yeah, they've both got their pacemakers there, and they've also both got company from 4 or 5 male runners who are also on for a very good time. If they can stay with our leading 2 women, they'll be coming home around that 2:13, 2:14 time. There's about 5 or 6 male athletes behind Chepchirchir and Chepkoskay, who are each following on the heels of their own personal pacemakers. But the 2 leading athletes in the women's race well clear. And meanwhile, Correa, he's crossed over the Jardin del Turia, and he's now actually coming back. In a few minutes' time, they'll pass by the famous Torres de Serrano, the famous tower built at the end of the 14th century, and you can see that they're now in the shade. Now, this is the second group that we mentioned weren't that far behind the leaders at halfway. There's Tesfaye Deriba, the Ethiopian, running just his 4th marathon here. But interestingly, Emmanuel Petros, the silver medalist from the World Championship Marathon in Tokyo 12 weeks ago.
He thought he had gold that day, didn't he, Richard, in that home straight, looking over his shoulder and getting caught on the line. I'm sure he would have been delighted with the silver medal, but to get that close, and I'm sure part of that redemption today would be taking that national record. But the national record holder is in that group right now as well, isn't he?
Samuel Fitwi. 8 athletes. So that second group that were aiming to go through halfway around 62, 62.15 has definitely thinned out. Yamani Crippa, he is still under the course record pace set by his compatriot Johannes Cipanelli here in Valencia 12 months ago. Remember, Crippa's best time 2:06.06 set in Seville at the start of 2024 Olympic year, and Crippa operating at a faster pace today. There's the leading Japanese athlete, Suguru Osaka, just outside the national record pace of Kengo Suzuki, 2:04.56. So that gives us an idea that they're really very, very close to the 2:04.50 German record. That's the famous Torres de Serrano.
It was lit up last night, Richard, wasn't it? There's some wonderful Christmas decorations. So again, if you are looking to come out this time of year, so the whole of the main square was shut off to traffic last night, and there is the wonderful structure, Torres de Serranos, and just so many wonderful landmarks in this beautiful city. And today it hosts the marathon, and it's been a marathon buzz over the last few days here. And it brings in such great support to the local economy. And, the amount of people that are travelling far and wide to be here. When you look down at the nationalities, so I think it's over 5,000 French athletes or runners get themselves over here. Almost 4,000 Brits, Richard, each year as well. And
yeah, the organisers were saying that next year, for both the half marathon and the marathon, they're going to bring in a lottery system for the first time in the race's history. Remember, this race has been going for 45 years, started in 1981, but it's really only in the last 10 years that it has grown and grown. both at the front end in terms of the fast times, but also in terms of the popularity.
And a lot of that, Richard, it's down to the Trinidad Alfonso Foundation and the support and the work that's gone into that.
Yeah, they've made it a runner-centred place, I think, not only for the elites, but right through. And the very fact that last year they had more than 5,000 runners that went under 3 hours. It's just become known as a place, if you're a good club runner or faster, or if you're just wanting to run your debut marathon. Up until this year, it's been slightly easier to get in, but starting from this year looking forward, it's going to be based on the lottery system, which is, to be honest, how most of the world marathon majors operate now.
So confirmation of the time there. Our leaders, Jeb Koskai, Jeb Chachir, are operating at 2:13.16 pace. And, the gap is growing. Bariso still back in 4th place. The gap is growing to the chasers behind, but it's about these two on the screen looking to lay down the fastest time in 2025, but also in the process take the course record down significantly. There can only be one winner, even though they know each other so well. Two so consistent, decorated athletes. But they will also start to think about tactics or the maintenance of the pace that they have been laying down. Well, it went substantially faster in the second 10 kilometres to the first 10 kilometres, but there's still a lot of kilometres and miles to be put in before they get to where we are, the hemispheric, and the bridge over the water to that finishing line.
Well, today we've made a lot about national records, and I suppose we ought to mention that the Kenyan national record, currently it stands to Ruth Chippengatich, her time from Chicago from 14 months ago, 2:09.56, but obviously there's a shadow over that time because Chippengatich has since been banned for drug testing. This is the third place athlete, the Ethiopian Fiketa Wereta. Now, I don't know whether that's a personal pacemaker, but she's at least got some company, although she's some way down the road from our leading two athletes. So it's Ethiopian Fiketa Wereta on course for around 2:17.18, which is about 4 minutes faster than she's ever run before. And actually, if we go a little bit further back down the field, we've got Amani Bariso, the Ethiopian, in 4th place, and then behind her is the South African athlete Glenrose Saba. Now, Saba, remember her best time from her debut in Cape Town last year, 2:22.22, and Saba is operating at a much quicker pace, and already inside 2 hours 20, targeting around 2:19.45 at the pace that she's going. This is John Correa, and he is extending his lead as he heads down through the famous Carrère de la Pau, Peace Street, which will bring him down to the 30k point by the City Hall. That was near to where we were staying last night. Great atmosphere in the old part of the city yesterday. Many of the roads closed to traffic. This is the second group, and you can see how this second group is breaking up. This is the one of the German athletes, Samuel Fitzwee. Looks as though he might be starting to struggle a little bit. He is the national record holder, 2:04.56.
Cisalema, though, so that's Cisalema. As we said, his race is done. Fitzwee's just gone past him, but the pace up front, just done my maths on John Correa's last 5 kilometre split. So for 25 to 30 kilometres, Richard, 14 minutes and 13 seconds. That's why he's put the damage, the distance into that chase group. And yeah, things are splintering, aren't they, in all of the groups now?
Yeah, this group of 6 athletes, it looks as though Yamani Kripa is not in this group. So it is the leading German now, Emmanuel Petros, silver medalist from Tokyo. He's in 2nd place in that group of 6 athletes who are operating around that 2:04.30, 2:05 place. But look at Correa. He has really opened up, as you said, James, that 5k split to 30k. has given him a gap of over 30 seconds over those 3 athletes, Kangogo, Kip Koech and Gamecho Dida. They're still locked together in second place. That's a chasing group of 3. And it is now Petros and his group of 6 athletes that are the, if you like, the second chase group on the road behind that first chase group of 3. And that's second chase group of 6 athletes, well, they've got an even better chance of closing that gap because they are that bigger group. So Korea now heading out to the westernmost part of the course. And actually, one of the things we have to say about this course is that from 36 kilometres back to the finish, that's when they head east, and they have a very slight tailwind. This course has been designed very specifically because the organisers know that typically there is this southwesterly wind that blows in from the mountains, the poniente as it's called, which will give the runners a very slight tailwind from the 36 kilometre point. That's a little bit further down the course. These are the 2 women. They are still locked together as they've been for the full distance up to this point.
Average pace 5:05 mile in. They're up almost to the 18-mile mark. So anyone that's doing a marathon block of training or just about to do one, to 18 to 20 miles, maybe a little bit further up, the 22 miles is as far as you go in training. So most of your training runs, this is the point you get to where you start to feel it slightly, and you can just see some of the facial expressions, and you've seen the groups now have started to drop off in numbers. Those early stages, everyone feels kind of good. You can see the sunshine now on the faces of the athletes, and that rise in temperatures, it's just creeping every 15, 20 minutes, and the athletes trying to get water on their liquid water. There you can see on the screen in the slipstream, the Scottish athlete from the Commonwealth Games for Scotland, and that is the quality of Paris and Joycelyn, that they are in and around some high-class international senior men.
Just to give you an update on some of the other women, the Finnish athlete Elisa Vainio is locked together with the leading Australian Jess Stenson, formerly Jess Stenson. She is there with the Finnish athlete, and Izzy Bat-Doyle has dropped about 30 seconds behind Stenson, so she's the second Australian on the road, and Charlotte Purdue is about a minute behind Izzy Bat-Doyle. We're back now with that second chasing group. They're in 5th and 6th place. Emmanuel Petros.
He's picked it up, Richard, isn't he? He was about 15 seconds down on the last split from his national record, so he's feeling good. I think he's going to go through this field, and whether he might even end up on the podium given the strength of the World Championship silver medalist. He's in form, he's in confident mood right now.
And the good thing for Petros, he can look ahead of him to see those 3 athletes who are in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So although they are probably some 30 or 40 seconds up the road, he's got them in their sights. And I think with the Norwegian athlete, he's going to start to make some inroads. But at the front of the race, John Career looking very, very relaxed and fluid, looking as though he's back to his best. Remember, he had that real purple patch after winning Chicago in October of 14 months ago, and then went to Boston for another spectacular win, his 2nd marathon major win in the course of 12 months.
Well, he's just hit 20 miles, and you wouldn't believe it looking at him on the screen in front of us. Wonderful, upright, rhythmical running, and you're right, he's bounced back from that very slight disappointment, and obviously whether that was a little bit of illness or injury, and put another good bit of block of training in. He's got it absolutely right at the moment, but there's still 10 kilometres of running. Steve Jones used to say the marathon was a 20-mile run and then a 10K race. This is the 10K race now at the 2025 Valencia Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso, Zurich. You're looking at John Correa on the left-hand side of the screen at the moment, running away from this race. But on the right-hand side, the chasers. And in the marathon, we know a lot can happen in the latter stages. As the elite women on the screen now, they're on course record pace, 30 kilometers. They've maintained that. They're 1:34.47, so 37 seconds still inside course record pace for Perez Jipchirchir and Joycin Chepkosgei. Locked shoulder to shoulder, Richard. It hasn't really changed in terms of formation, and you can see confirmation of those times, those splits. Just a very subtle loss in that time, but just 5 seconds from the half to 25 kilometers, and now maintaining it. So still in the low 2:13 bracket. So impressive, and this is two of the fastest marathon times that we're watching on the screen right now, and it's about them continuing it for the next 12 kilometers.
Yeah, we can think back to that really close race they had together 18 months ago in London, when it came down to a real three-way battle between Jipchirchir and Chepkosgei and Tigist Assefa over the final mile in London, and it was Jipchirchir who won that one. Jipchirchir's been involved in many close races, most recently in Tokyo when she out-sprinted once again Tigist Assefa in the World Championship Marathon. But Chepkosgei knows how to win a big race, having won in London and in New York previously. This year finished second in London behind Tigist Assefa. That was her last marathon. So it's going to be a very fascinating duel between these top two Kenyan athletes with a very, very similar marathon pedigree. Both have run 11 marathons. Chepkosgei, 31 years of age. Perez Jipchirchir, 32 years of age. Very, very similar stats, and very interestingly that they have got their pacemakers still in the race. It is actually Julius Gwambok, that's the white-vested Kenyan. That's Chepkosgei's personal pacemaker who is leading them.
So obviously those all-time lists, Ruth Chepngaich's time has an asterisk against it, but Tigist Assefa, the second fastest with 2 hours, 11 minutes and 53 seconds. And then Sifan Hassan is currently third on that all-time list, 2 hours, 13:44. So just to give context to the fact that we've got two athletes head-to-head here at the Valencia Marathon 2025, battling it out and running some of the fastest splits we've ever seen in the early stages. But it is the business end now, and it's the business end for the athlete then on the right-hand side of the screen, John Correa, and he looks fantastic at the moment. So maybe for the first time, just a little lead now for Perez, who's just gone maybe just in front. They've been shoulder to shoulder almost, so at some point you would expect something to change. I did say earlier that the slight difference is that they do get paces pretty much the whole way, so it does take out in a way the racing head-to-head, as in terms of making an individual move, but maybe just a signal from their own paces, almost judging the effort and also knowing the training that's gone in. And there's confirmation. And look at that gap has grown. Roberto is still moving at 2:17.18 pace, but 3 minutes and 34 seconds.
Yeah, for a moment it looked as though Jocelyn Chepkosgei was having to work very, very hard to stay with Jipchirchir. I think what's interesting at this point is that Jipchirchir's pacemaker, who was in that group in the green vest, is no longer there. So it is the pacemaker, personal pacemaker of Jocelyn Chepkosgei, who is still in the race. And were Perez Jipchirchir to take over the lead, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Julius Gwambok, the leader in that group in the white vest, would just drop back to help Chepkosgei. That would be a very interesting situation. But at the moment, both athletes, Chepchirchir and Chepkoskai, following the male pacemaker, Julius Brambach. This is the third athlete, Fikata Wereta, having a good run, still operating at that sub-220 pace, and still on target for a new best time, having set her personal best in Seoul at the start of 2024. She ran 2:21 there, but almost 2 minutes faster pace she's operating at. But on the right of the screen, John Career still looking very, very relaxed, with just over 20 minutes of running remaining. And that second group, the chase group, is now splitting up. Interestingly, Gemechu Dida and Julius Kangogo have got away from Hillary Kipkoech. Hillary Kipkoech, who ran his best time here 12 months ago. He ran 2:04.45, only got him 8th place last year. Now in 4th place, but dropping back from Dida, the Ethiopian, on the left of that group, and Julius Kangogo having what looks to be the best run in his marathon career. Got a best time of 2:05.57.
So Dida there battling for second place, and the gap back then 50 seconds back to Petros, but these two look good. Kangogo on the right-hand side of the screen, Dida on the left, the debutant, and then on the split screen, the left-hand side, John Career. Again, you can just see the rhythmical running style, and there's the 4th and 5th athletes on the road to whether we're going towards a new Norwegian national record. Petros has got his eye on that German record, as he did on the start line. That is the Norwegian athlete inside 61 minutes for a half marathon, so looking to translate that. Owen's national record is under threat right now. No national records under threat for Kenyan distance running today. That is the world record of the late Kelvin Kipton, but it is about taking the title. Someone that knows how to win. You see, he'll be enjoying a bit of the shade that is on offer in the second half of the race now. Lifetime best 2:02.44 for John Career.
Well, he's just gone through 35k. I think that's going to come up on the screen very soon.
He's getting close to his lifetime best pace now, isn't he? 2:02.53 is the projected time. So continuing to drop the splits. I make that another 14-16 5k split from 30 to 35k, Richard. So that's a 28-32 10k split. And that's why there's such a difference between him and the chasers behind.
I think what's going to be interesting now is to see the 35k split for the second and third athletes. These are the two on the screen, Gemechu Dida and Julius Kangogo, and then also to see whether Emmanuel Petros has closed that gap at 30 kilometres. Petros was 45 seconds down on Dida and Kangogo, and we're going to try and pick up their 35k split to see whether that gap has come down. But it looks as though John Career at the front of that race with that incredibly fast 10k between 25k and 35k, 28:32, has really blown the race apart. And the front of the women's race, for the first time, Perez Chepchirchir appears to have a few meters, and this is the dynamic that I was explaining, where Julius Brambach, who is the personal pacemaker for Jocelyn, is giving some encouragement.
He's caught in a dilemma now, isn't he? Because he's now pulling away Perez from, well, the job he was probably set to do. And I don't know whether he realises it, because he did try and take a little look round, and he is, but then it's also then impacting Perez. Every time he looks round, he's almost stumbling and falling over. So fascinating now. He's waving her to go through, I think, saying that I'm not chasing you.
That's
oh,
Well, and let's remember, Julius Brambach, right at the front, there he is. He stepped aside and he's going to drop back, I think, because Brambach, he trains day in, day out with Jocelyn. And so it's just in his nature to be running alongside Chepkosgei rather than Chepkosgei's prime opponent today, Kipchirchir. But at the moment, it's still the male, Julius Brambach, who is out in front. But at this point, as they go through the 35k drink station, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Brambach drops back to help his training partner, Chepkosgei.
Well, what is fascinating there, Chepkosgei did not get a bottle. She looked for it, wasn't there. I don't know whether the pacer realises, and he took his gel on board as the pacer. And I wonder whether that she needed that gel slightly more. But Kipchirchir got her bottle, but didn't look like the bottle of Chepkosgei was there. So, and the pacer's just thrown away a drink. Often it's common knowledge, isn't it, to pass on the bottle, but in the splits, it is growing now, and look at that. Now she's asking for a drink now, but I think she wanted the drink that he had. Oh shit, there you go. That's teammates.
That
How
is
many sports do you see other athletes that are going head-to-head in a world-class race, world-class event, hand their own bottle to potentially help them?
That is two world-class athletes with huge respect for each other.
100%.
Meanwhile, John Correa is extending his lead. And look at this.
Yes, Petros has caught them. We thought that, didn't we, Richard? The gap was 20 or 10 seconds, but just a few kilometres ago. But they are making their way through this field like a knife through butter.
At 35k, Dida and Kangogo were 12 seconds up. There you go. That was the 35k split. 12 seconds up, and look how they've come through now. That was about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and it's the German Emanuel Petros. Remember, he finished second in the World Championship Marathon. He's now in joint second place in the Valencia Marathon, and Petros is charging through the field.
They are, and that's, as you said, that gap was reduced so quickly. Just keeping a quick eye on it. The 35-kilometre split for John Correa was 1 hour, 41 minutes and 57 seconds. Dida was back at 1:43.15. Petros was back at 1:43.27. But in probably the next just over 1 kilometre of running, took 12 seconds out, if not more, because they've gone straight past. And this is fascinating to see. Kibrab is the athlete that he's now got his eyes fixated on. Emanuel Petros, world silver medalist. He's on pace at the moment for 2 hours, 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Now this is significant.
This is Kipchirchir putting a foot down, because this is the first significant gap we've seen in this race, and this is a replay of where it happened. Brambach, the pacemaker for the first 30+ kilometres of this race for Kipchirchir and Chepkosgei, steps aside, and Kipchirchir puts her foot down and opens that gap, and that gap looks as though it's getting bigger with less than half an hour of running left for these two top athletes in the women's race. Kipchirchir, remember, a best time of 2:16.16. She's operating at a much faster pace, and she's got about 20 metres. The interesting thing now is that Chepkosgei has got the assistance of her pacemaker, and so if she's got anything left in the tank, it looks as though Brambach, her pacemaker, could pull her back. And for a moment now, it looks as though Kipchirchir has just come off that accelerator, and that gap is going to close.
It's a fascinating talking point, and the significance of paces in races, and you know, it changes the slight dynamics. But it's all part of the rules. It's all agreed before. Everyone knows that that's your opportunity to have that assistance. And now they are back together. And maybe just a little bit of fatigue there from the world champion, because she definitely picked up the pace, Perez Chepchirchir. But now Joycelyn Chepkosgei, if she senses a slight weakness now or a slight drop in pace, and the fact she's got her pacer now in her sights, they're back to being shoulder to shoulder. But on the right-hand side of the screen, checking his own watch for confirmation that he's heading towards his own lifetime best figures. And he's really been moving over the last 10 to 12 kilometers. 1 hour 50 on the race clock. Expected at 40 kilometers around about 1 hour and 56 minutes. And you can see there 21 degrees on the trackside advertising boarding, course side advertising boarding there. So the temperature has rapidly increased over the last hour to 30 minutes, and that's something that the athletes will be feeling at this stage of the marathon. The internal body clock is temperature gauge has been increasing just from running at this pace for a sustained period of time, but the external heat as well will be adding fuel to the fire. A great shot there, and the shoe technology that well exploded in 2016 and beyond. Now every shoe brand is on the case with their own super shoes, whether that's the foam, the carbon plates, but also the way that runners use the technology now. And you can just see that forefoot running and that sort of power but relaxed running style that John Career has. But also the thing that has changed massively over the last few years has been the ability to refuel and hydrate, and the landscape has changed so much in marathon running. As you can see, 35 kilometers, 1 second separating them, 27 seconds inside course record pace with just 7 kilometers to go.
Well, there's still more than about half a minute, so a half a minute inside the course record pace set by Amane Buriso when she won here 3 years ago. So still on target for a course record, but fascinating section of the race where Chepchirchir took the lead, opened up 10-15 meters, and then Chepkosgei was hauled back by her own pacemaker, and it's now Chepkosgei who is in front of Chepchirchir with the pacemaker right in front. And it was Chepchirchir who seemed to have a word with the pacemaker, or as if to say, I need your help over this final part of the race.
I definitely delivered and brought her back to Perez there, and they're now locked head to head, and just again a signal, a discussion. It is teamwork right now. It almost seems like it's 2 against 1 out there, but I tell you what, Perez Chepchirchir is so experienced as well. They don't put world titles around your neck or world gold medals around your neck unless you are one of the world's very best racers. She can close as well, so this will also be starting to think about their ability maybe to increase the pace in the latter stages, but it looks more about maybe survival at this pace. Operating at 2:13.41, so over a minute potentially inside course record pace, even though those splits are in direct comparison. Buriso did slow a little bit in the latter stages from a fairly brisk second half. You can see a few runners that it's not gone to plan. And this is going to be a story over these last few kilometers where we see a few runners that it just didn't happen, that have pulled off to the side. But it is about the race on the screen in front of us. The elite men's leader, John Career, on the left-hand side of the screen. Now centre stage, the bull ring in the background there. So in the city centre, Richard.
That's 39 kilometres. They've just passed the bull ring. John is going to come past the main station at Estación del Nord, 39k, and then he's going to run up this wide avenue up to the Porta de la Mar, the gate of the sea, and that will be at 2 kilometres to go. On the right of the screen, the 2 Eritrean-born athletes, Emmanuel Petros, now in second place, being chased by Awot Kibrab. So Emmanuel Petros, now representing Germany, was naturalised in Germany as a German citizen in 2015. Awad Kibrab, now naturalised as a Norwegian citizen, both of them from Eritrea, both of them 30 years old, and both of them having their biggest performance in a big city race. Emmanuel Petros actually probably speaking in his native Tigrayan with Awad, and almost making a pact, because if they can keep going at this pace, there's a good chance. Look at them now, speaking to each other. Petros on the left and Awad Kibrab. Remember, both Eritrean born. Now, Petros representing Germany and Kibrab representing Norway. They're the second and third athletes, some way down. And this is that great sponsor station that Career is coming down in a few meters' time. He'll come down to the roundabout around 40k, Porta de la Mar, and from there he'll have just over 6 minutes of running back down into the City of Arts and Sciences. But it's Career well out in front, on target for his 4th marathon victory in his 12 marathon career. But in the women's race, it's a very, very tight battle between Jeb Koskay and Jeb Churchill, as it's been for the entire race. And it's Brambok, the pacemaker, who is leading them. And there is Korea. So he's through. We'll see if we can give you the 40k split.
Just come up at 1 hour, 56 minutes and 10 seconds. So continuing to roll a 14-13 5k split. So he's even picked up the pace. Look at that. It doesn't quite do it justice because he's obviously a minute off the course record pace. But projected time now, 2 hours 2:32. And the fact that he's continuing to pick the pace up, how close, or can he get anywhere near Sebastian Sarway's world lead, previous winner here? But it would mean he'd need to cover the last 2.2 kilometers in just over 6 minutes. Is that doable, Richard?
Well, the interesting thing is that, of course, Sarway's fastest time in the world this year was set in Berlin. And we all know what happened in Berlin. The temperature was rising and rising, and Sarway went through incredibly quickly through the first half distance and then was slowing. I mean, obviously he was still operating at a very, very fast pace, but I wouldn't put it out of reach for John Career, because he is absolutely charging over this last 2k. The organisers will be absolutely delighted if he can get anywhere near Sarway's fastest time in the world this year, 2:02.16. As you say, he's on target for around 2:02.30 with just over a mile to go.
Well, if he was to do it, it would mean the best part of a low 60-minute second half. And given the last 15 kilometres have been a shade over 42 minutes, I mean, he is really showing his back with an absolute bang. And this is a great race, a head-to-head. So we've got the front-running John Career in the elite men's, and we've got the battle, the duo, the two of them going head-to-head. Peres Chipchir and Joycin Chepkoskay. It is a Kenyan bit of dominance today, with both elite races flying the Kenyan flag, and John Career, it's him versus the clock now. Emmanuel Petros there, 1 minute 45 down. They've had a great race. Kibrab as well, both of them towards national records.
And remember, Kibrab is running his debut marathon. Came into this race as the silver medalist from the European Championship half marathon earlier this year. Has a best time of 60:46, but today, look at him now in third place, dropping back from Emmanuel Petros. So Emmanuel Petros now in a clear second position. Kibrab running his debut marathon here in Valencia, on course for a very, very fast debut. But some way up the road now, John Career coming through a stretch of the course known as Gulliver's Park, which is going to bring him back into the City of Arts and Sciences. We jogged down this part of the course earlier this morning.
You can see the race clock on the lead car behind. The chorus clock is ticking towards the 2-hour mark. So he knows he's got just over 2 minutes of running. He'll be looking for those breakdown of splits that we jogged upon the course last night. And you can see them, especially in the last 500 metres. You take a kick down on the left-hand side towards the City of Arts and Sciences, and then over the makeshift bridge past the Herosmeric onto that finishing line. But now he's looking, isn't he, Richard, for that left-hand turn.
Yeah, as you say, less than a kilometre of running. He'll see all the signs saying 800 metres to go, 700 metres to go, and then with 500 metres to go, he'll take that left turn. There's the 700 metre sign, and then he's going to take a left turn, which is a slight downhill, bringing him back down into this wonderful complex where all the crowds are waiting for the winners as they come down. So I would say less than 2 minutes of running for John Correa. Another great performance. It's going to be his second marathon win of 2025, having won in Boston. There's the left turn, and this is a slightly downhill section. And as he comes onto the blue carpet, in front of him, he'll see the finish gantry, about 400 metres to run.
Yeah, this is going to be tough on the legs now. A slight downhill. You might think the athletes would look for this, but it's tough on the quads. I think we're going to be just outside the fastest time in the world this year. Sebastian Sarways will stay, I think, as the lead. But I tell you what a fantastic run by an athlete that's already been on the top spot at Chicago, the top spot at Boston, and today he's going to be on the top spot in Valencia. The 28-year-old Kenyan is flying down towards the finishing line. Keep an eye on the clock. It's going to be oh so close. It's going to be a massive lifetime best as he goes underneath the bridge where the race started 2 hours and 2 minutes before. What a dominant display over the second half. Absolutely flown through the second half. It's going to be low 60 minutes for this superb athlete from Kenya. He's going to win the 2025 Valencia Marathon, Trinidad Alfonso Zurich. John Correa is the champion. 2 hours, 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Massive lifetime best. What a second half, Richard.
Second half around 60:38. Quite sensational running. Went through half distance 61:46, came back negative split, or more than a minute faster in that second half, and actually finishes with a time 1 second slower than Jacob Kiplimo's winning time in Chicago 8 weeks ago, which is where John Correa dropped out. So what redemption for John Correa here in Valencia. This is the second place athlete, Emmanuel Petros. He is going to finish inside the German national record. Remember, Samuel Fitri ran the course record here, 2:04.56, and Petros came into the race with a best time, 2:04.58. He's gone even better here today, running his third marathon of 2025. Petros finished 8th in London in April, 2nd in Tokyo 12 weeks ago, and today, in his third marathon of 2025, he's going to finish 2nd in a new national record for Germany, the first national record that we're going to see here today in Valencia. Emmanuel Petros crosses the line just outside 2:04.03 unofficially, a new national record for the German.
By almost 1 whole minute. Kibrab has been sharing that moment with him. Fantastic run as well. The two of them helped each other in the latter stages, and he's rewarded with a superb debut time.
4th place for a Japanese athlete who's going to run a new national record.
Wow, what a return. That's why you come out of retirement, Richard.
absolutely brilliant. Remember, his best time set 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, in Tokyo, and he's come to Valencia and he smashed the national record for Japan.
Oh, that is sensational, isn't it?
2:04.56 was the record.
Oh, wow.
Gashawayale, just outside his own national record for Israel, came to this race with his best time. Oh, sorry. Maybe he's going to go under it. No, he's just outside. Sorry, he came into the race. 2:04.53 was his own national record. So he's going to be about 40 seconds outside that.
And the body language kind of tells you, doesn't it, Richard? You can see what's a national record and what's not as we go back to the women's race. Significant. Joycin Chepkoskai has now pulled around about 10, 15, 20 metres in front of Perez Chepchirchir, the world champion, Richard. This is significant.
Well, we didn't expect this because 10 minutes ago, we just cannot see Chepchirchir. It looks as though definitely Chepkoskai's on her own. Now, whether Chepchirchir stepped off the road, we will find out. But that's on the right of the screen, Julius Kangogo. And it looks now, this is Chepchirchir, as though she has given up the ghost, definitely, and quite possibly stepped off the course, but certainly dropped a long way back. And it is Chepkoskai who is now at the front of the women's race, looking back, just wanting to get confirmation that she is well clear, because she is into the final few kilometres of the race. There's Felix Bohr.
Alex Yee, I'm getting confirmation. Alex Yee has gone inside 2.7. So Alex Yee, 2:06.38 for the Olympic triathlete champion. What a superb performance. 9th place. And wow, that is something very special. Felix Bohr was there with him as well. And looking down, I've got Emil Caress finishing the race as well, Richard. I don't know whether you can check your stats as well. Emil Caress was due to pace, unless that's a force split coming up. Maybe no, he's not. Panic over. It was a projected time on the app. I'm sure his coaching team, but he did go to 35 kilometres. Emil Caress, great bit of pacemaking, and Alex Yee is a huge beneficial of that. And a couple of French athletes inside already the European qualifying time of 2:09.30. So we're going to see some of those athletes in Birmingham, I would have thought, in the summer. But the women's race, Richard, the pace is still there, but only one athlete is has kind of come out the other side of this big battle.
Yep, Chepkoskai now well clear and with her own pacemaker, and with probably less than 2 kilometres. She's through the Porta de la Mar. She's into this final stretch through Gulliver's Park, and she'll start to see the countdown on the road, targeting a time of inside 2:14. Remember the course record, 2:14.58. Well, she's about a minute faster than that. This is on the right of the screen, the French athlete Navarro coming in, and Sisai Lemmer, the course record holder, the winner here 2 years ago, just about to finish. And there's Carlos Mayo finishing under 2:09, and Sisai Lemmer, well, he's finished the race also around 2:09.
Chepchirchir is still there in the race, 15 seconds back. She's out of shot from the camera, but she's still there. So she hasn't totally given it up, and she's still on for a massive lifetime best. Low 2:14 at the moment, as the race clock for those Europeans will be significant. 2:09.30 was the time. That might be Navarro there, potentially getting over inside that. And, others there or thereabouts, maybe just inside on chip timing. Maybe that was Hendricks, I think, potentially. Oh, the battles, the fatigue on the right-hand side of the finishers and into the very latter stages of the elite women's race on the left-hand side. Joycelyn Chepkoskai is leading.
Well, on the right of the screen, the men flooding in. Remember, last year we had 24 athletes under 2:08, and I think we've already had 40 or 50 athletes through the finish as the clock ticks just over 2 hours, 10 minutes. There's Yamani Cripper coming in. Pretty disappointed. Remember, he was on for a sub 2:06.
Phil Sessman, 2 hours, 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So I think that's a 5-second personal best off the top of my head. So superb work. Just a few seconds in front of Ed Cheserek, known as the King when he was running for Oregon in the NCAAs. So just ahead of Patrick Mossin making his debut, 2 hours, 7 minutes and 18 seconds. As it's Cripper, isn't it, coming down towards the line now, Richard?
Cripper is going to be just outside, I think, the 2:11, 2:10:58, 9, just over the line, around 2:11. So some way down on his best time.
Johnny Mellor, 2 hours, 8 and 45, showed form in the Wilmslow 10K a few weeks ago. And lifetime best, great to see, just ahead of Carlos Mayo, 2 hours, 8:53. So great to see so many performances being thrown down, and well, 28 runners inside, and that was Cisse Lema, the course record holder, inside 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Well, the big story for British marathon running is that Alex Yee has moved to number 2 on the all-time list for British marathon running. He's gone even faster than Emile Caresse, the 4th place in the Olympic marathon 12 months ago. Emile Caresse's time, 2:06:46. Well, we've got 2:06:38 for Alex Yee going into second all-time for British marathon running. And here's the second-placed woman, Perez Chipchirchir, who's really struggled over these final few kilometres, dropped some way back from the leader, Joycelyn Chepkoskai, who's coming down in a few metres. She's going to make that left turn down with 500 metres to go. There she goes with her personal pacemaker, Julius Brambach, who's been with her all the way. And she's got a now healthy lead as she comes down into the final minute of running onto the blue carpet down towards the finish.
Yeah, that course record is going to be smashed, is going to be broken. It's going to be up there, I think, one of the fastest times that we've ever seen, probably in the top 4, Richard. It's been a superb bit of running.
Yep, 300 metres to go. Take this little bend, and then there's a little ramp up as they make that left turn. Doesn't look very hard on your screen, but when you've been running for 42 kilometres, that's the bit. And there, it looks as though, yep, her pacemaker, Julius Brambach, has just stepped aside, and it's Joycelyn Chepkoskai, who is coming home now on her own, is going to smash Amanda Bariso's record set here 3 years ago. Remember, she ran 2:14:58. This is going to be the fastest time in the world for women's marathon running in 2025, beating the time of Howie Facer 8 weeks ago in Chicago. A new course record for Joycelyn Chepkoskai, a new personal best, taking about 2.5 minutes off her best time. The new champion in Valencia, Joycelyn Chepkoskai, under 2 hours and 14 minutes.
World lead, course record, 4th on the all-time list. That was a superb display of distance running, and these two, well, they gave us a real show today. Two of the world's very best marathon runners going head-to-head. It's going to be a big lifetime best for the world champion, Perez Chipchirchir, but she's going to have to settle for the runner-up spot today. Looked as if she was pulling away at one point, looked as if she might go on to take the title herself. But she's also going to elevate herself in that world list, I think, to the 7th fastest time of all time. 2nd place today. Perez Cheptegei, superb bit of distance running, and she really made a race of it.
She really did. It looked as though she was going to actually get away from her compatriot at about the 38k point, but then really struggled over those final 2 or 3 kilometres and finished about 45 seconds down, but still inside the old course record of the Ethiopian Bariso from 3 years ago. So Cheptegei, a new lifetime best, finishing in 2nd place. Cheptegei's time given now as 2:14.00, so taking 2 minutes and 24 seconds off her best time.
I tell you, who's having a great run, Chloe Herbert, the Belgium athlete, is going 2:20 pace at the moment in 4th place, Richard. Absolutely flying, so let's keep an eye on the race clock. And Vino, the Finnish athlete, is also on 2:20 pace.
Wow.
She's in 5th place, so 5th in the world, 5th place right now. And the Australian Jessica Stenson is also on 2:21 pace, so keep an eye, Richard. We've got a load of national records coming, I think. So I think we're going to an interview with John Correa, the elite men's champion and the superb winner from today.
Well, we're not picking up the sound of Correa's interview, but on the right we can see the final 400 metres of his race coming home in splendid isolation, well clear of the 2nd place athlete Emmanuel Petros.
So just signalling to his number and his name. The World of Marathon Running already knows that from his superb amount of performances and wins. And look at that great backdrop of the crowd enjoying, as they do here in Valencia, great running and superb performances.
And there, as we've said, the world lead in 2025 for Jocelyn Cheptegei, and there on behind her, the president of Corre Caminos, the running club that is responsible for putting on this race with the City Hall Ayuntamiento, a great festival of running, as ever, here in Valencia. There's George Blanco, one of the Spanish athletes coming across the line. But we're looking out now for the 3rd and 4th place athletes in the women's race. Remember, the Ethiopian Fikata Wereta, she was in 3rd place. See if we can update you.
Yeah, she's coming up as, I think, having finished maybe, or no, still coming down towards the finishing time, or line, and maybe there's a battle on, I think, for that 3rd place. It's the camera, all these runners going inside 2:20. A few familiar faces on the British running scene and European running scene. You got Matt Clouds there, just over the line.
Well, James, you mentioned about national records. The organisers are targeting 11 possible national records in the women's race, and one of those that they're looking for is the Finnish national record, Elisa Vainio. Another is the Belgium national record, currently stands to Marlene Renders. That goes back 23 years. She ran that time in Paris, 2:23.05. So let's keep an eye out.
I think that's on borrowed time, given the last split that we had. I think we've got kind of potential 2:20 runs there between Herbert and Vainio. As the clock there ticks towards that 2:20 mark. We're still waiting for the 3rd place elite women's athlete across the line.
Well, we're going to try and hear this time from the men's winner, John Correa. A double Kenyan victory here in Valencia. John Correa winning in Valencia for the first time.
Such a thug race, after a big effort, and most importantly, after this win.
I feel good. You know, the people are saying that Korea name is going down, but I had to come here and prove them that Korea is still there. And I think I've closed my year with a PB, and I say thank to God, thank to everyone who behind it, thank to the people of Valencia and the Valencia organization for welcoming me here. And I enjoy myself here in Valencia. People are cheering up, and I feel good. And
You talk about God, and what do you think made the difference for you today?
for me, what made me different for me today, I went to Chicago, but I didn't went on well. So I decided let's go to Valencia and see how it went, and it has went good. And I thank God, I thank my family, I thank my brother Wesley, I thank my coach Ron Man and my management Howie for believing in me and agreeing me to come to Valencia and then the year good.
Okay. And how do you feel with the atmosphere today? The energy, the temperature, and the incredible people here in Valencia?
It was good, you know. I used to train in hot weather, and people in Valencia they gave me very good morale, and they were shouting my name, go, go, go. So I think they helped me a lot with cheering, and I'm good. I say thank to them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So great hearing there from our champion John Correa. So Richard said it's been a great day for Kenya today as the clock goes towards 2:21.
Interesting that he made reference to the Correa family because, of course, he owes a lot and looks up to his older brother, Wesley Correa, former winner of the Boston Marathon. And, of course, he referred to the disappointment of Chicago and wanting to get his family's name back on the map. There is the confirmation of the new national record holder for Belgium, Chloe Herbert, finishing in a time of 2:20:38, an improvement of more than 4 minutes.
What a superb run, and 10 seconds back, Vaiano smashing her own Finnish national record, 2 hours 20 and 48 seconds. What a year for the athlete from Finland, 5th in the World Championships, national record 3 weeks later, and then another national record by a couple of minutes.
First of all, congratulations for the world record in Germany. And how do you feel after such a thug race, after that big effort you have, and the most importantly, after the second place?
Yeah, it's not easy sometimes to say I'm proud of me, but finally I can say like I'm proud of me because the season was so long. Like I started last year, 3 of December to train, to preparation for many competitions. For example, for the Barcelona half marathon, and then half marathon in Berlin, London Marathon, World Championship, and then today Valencia Marathon. So it is actually very long. It's not possible, by the way, but I'm so happy that I made it my goal. The main goal was like to break my national record, and I made it. So I'm so happy that I made it finally. Valencia is like my second home. My first competition, 2019, was here, marathon, and I always run best time or German record as right now. And it's the home of champion, it's the home of freedom, and I'm always happy to be here.
Congratulations for break the Germany record. And how do you feel with the atmosphere today, the energy, the people in Valencia?
Hey, it's amazing. I mean, I can read like one book about Valencia. The road is special, it's very fast, like Berlin Marathon and Hannover Marathon, ADAC. So the atmosphere is especially amazing from start to the end, from the beginning. And I love the building, you know, the building covering the wind. Yeah. So you don't get it like that much wind. So it is like, it's too loud, you know, from the beginning until the end. It's so loud, and that's one of the biggest motivation in Valencia. So I prefer for everyone Valencia is one of the best road, and the weather and the atmosphere is like amazing. So, yeah.
And what do you think made the difference for you today for break that record? The Puma?
Yes, we made a very special new shoes. We want to test today, and we tested it like for a couple of weeks, and it is like a very amazing success shoes. So it's coming like next year, February, March, to the world, and I'm 100% they will love it. It's very, very fast, it's very light, and it's very special, comfortable, and yeah, I'm very excited that I heard some feedbacks from the world, from the people of running.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amadel Petros there, second place in the World Championship, second place today, and a massive German national record as Emma Bates, USA, coming down towards the finishing line. She'll be probably slightly disappointed with 2:25 in what has been a quality field, Richard, and we've had even more national records. I think maybe even a Welsh national record for Natasha Wilson, but also some others just in front of her.
Yes, Natasha Wilson finishing 2:24.22, and national records for the Belgian, Finnish and Australian athletes. We'll give you an update on those in just a minute. We're going to go to the interview with Jocelyn Chipkowski, the winner of the women's race.
Okay. First of all, congratulations for your victory, for your amazing career. And how do you feel after such a tough race, after a big effort?
I'm so excited. It's amazing, yeah, to win this race with a personal best. I'm so happy. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm so grateful. Yeah.
You are so tired, and how does it feel to run the fastest time of the year and here in Valencia?
I'm so happy, so excited. What a PB for me to close the season. I'm so happy.
What do you think made the difference for you today, and what was the very first emotion that hit you when you realized you had won?
I was so happy, amazing. Everybody was cheering me. I was so feeling strong, and I'm very happy. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your words, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Jocelyn Chipkowski, the new champion here in Valencia, and referring to the fact it's been quite a long year. Obviously, she had that great run in London when she finished second behind Tigist Assefa earlier this year, and has come here to end her year on a really high note, a new PB and a first title for her in Valencia. Just to recap on some of the national records, we mentioned Jess Trengrove, Jess Stenson, now running for Australia, has beaten the existing Australian record with a time of 2:21.25. The Finnish athlete Elisa Vainio has set a new Finnish national record of 2:20.48 for her own national record, and in front of her, Chloe Herbert of Belgium has run 2:20.38.
So the shots from earlier today, the amazing sounds and sights here in Valencia, the 2025 Valencia Marathon. Trinidad Alfonso Zurich welcome the world's best runners. Cisalema, the defending champion, had to give way to some superb performances in front of him. The sounds, the sights, Miguel Indurain on the bike. There was something for everyone. So many national records out there. So much support from the crowds. Richard, what a day it's been in Valencia.
Well, a lot of new PBs and national records, and some great racing, particularly in that women's race, that battle between two of the greatest of all time, Perez Chipchirchir and Jocelyn Chipkowski. But plenty of other things to celebrate, including John Career's return to victory, having had a disappointment in Chicago 8 weeks ago. There's the new men's champion here in Valencia, John Correa. A new lifetime best for him, taking about 20 seconds off the time he set in Chicago 14 months ago, and a great return to form after the disappointment of having dropped out in Chicago just 2 months ago.
And it was Joycin Chepkosgei, a world lead, a course record, 4th on the all-time list, making it Kenyan dominance. For myself, James C, and Richard Narurka, thank you for joining us for this year's Valencia Marathon Trinidad Alfonso Zurich 2025.